And with that, we welcome you into the MLS Cup Watch Party across all of the Fox Soccer and Fox Sports platforms. My name is Mark Rogondino. Yes, one thing is not like the other. The rest of these guys that are in this picture right now for you as we get set for the 2020 MLS Cup Final between the Columbus Crew SC and the Seattle Sounders. A ton of storylines to get to, but before we do that, we introduce you to the guys who will be along with you for the next couple of hours. We're starting at the top. He was recently named into the all-time best 25 players in Major League Soccer. He is a three-time World Cup veteran, two-time MLS Cup champ, and Mr. LA Galaxy himself. Say hello to Cobi Jones. What up, Dr. Jones?
Love it, Mark. Thanks for having me. This is fantastic to be around these fantastic guys.
Next, we move over to Modesto, California's prodigal son, former U.S. men's national team defender, and you've seen him on Copa 90. You've seen him everywhere, including wearing a New York Red Bull jersey. Maybe one of the best to do it with the ball at his feet coming out of the back, crazy step-overs. He'll talk about it tonight, none other than Heath Pearce.
I like that, man. I need you to be my full-time MC, hype man. I like that. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited for this.
I don't know about MC, but hype man, I can definitely do that, and that's what I'm here for tonight, Heath. Moving on, last but most certainly not least, one of my former teammates during my college playing days. He's the 2005 MLS Defender of the Year, now turned influencer / commentator, none other than James. You call him Jimmy Conrad.
What's up, Mark? What's up, Cobi and Heath? I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Well, we got a lot of things to break down over the next couple of hours, including the game here between Columbus and Seattle. Of course, we have a ton of story time coming your way. These guys are going to share memories from their playing days, their times crossing paths in the league, what they're doing now, how they've seen this 2020 season. We also have some party crashers that are going to be joining us. Yes, special guests that will be stopping by to share in the fun of the 2020 MLS Cup Final, but also to maybe rib these guys a little bit, kind of dig the knife into them a little bit and make sure that we stay on point. Of course, since we are on Fox, we have to talk about Fox Bet, and we know that wagering has become all the talk across the world of sports. It seems like a new state every single day is starting to legalize gambling. You look at what Fox Bet has up there right now. I think the big thing I want to talk about with you guys first is 2.5 goals. The experts actually have steeper juice, meaning you got to pay a little bit more if you're going to take under 2.5. I'll start with you, Cobe. Do you see this as a high-scoring affair, or do you see this as a very tight affair, similar to what these teams played all the way back in early March when they actually played in the 2020 season, a 1-1 final?
You know what's funny? When we look at these two teams, I'm thinking that this will actually be a high-scoring game. And usually when you go into MLS Cup, it's usually kind of low scoring and slow. But for some reason, I think with these two teams and the way they like to play and the talent they have up front, expect a high scoring game. I'm taking the over.
What say you, Heath?
Oh, man. I mean, prior to Nagbe not playing in this, I would have taken the over, but I'm going to go with the under. I think we're going to see Columbus, a different side of them. Obviously with Morris sitting in for Columbus, it's going to be something different. One of the most skilled players, but I think we're gonna. I'm gonna just say it. It's going with the under. We're gonna have 1 goal today.
Hey Jimmy, I'm gonna take that 100 that you still owe me from way back in the late '90s, the last time we saw each other in person, and I'm gonna let you wager on whatever you want right now, over or under.
I'm going to go the under as well. Sorry, Cobi. I'm going to go with Heath on this one. I just feel like Columbus, given the fact that they were without Darlington Nagbe, they're without Pedro Santos, who had 6 goals in the regular season, 2 in the playoffs so far. It's a lot of their attack being generated that are now on the sidelines. You're bringing in a 19-year-old to fill in for Nagbe, and first big game for him, he's got to go chase Ladero around. I just feel like that Caleb Porter's going to ask his guys to play tight in the first half, try to get it to 0-0, and then maybe nip a goal on a set piece in the second half somehow. And I think they're going to be tough to break down. So I think it's going to be a cagey affair to start. They feel each other out in the second half. It'll open up. But I only think only 1 goal will be scored in that second half.
So we got 2 unders, if I'm correct, 2 unders and 1 over. I tend to agree with you, Cobe, because I think that both of these teams and both coaches have talked about how they love attacking flair, right? I mean, I think even Caleb Porter made mention, yes, he's not going to have Nagbe. Yes, he's not going to have Pedro Santos, but he said, we have a system, and the way that we play is the way that we play. Another guy should be able to step in and maybe not completely fill Nagbe's shoes, right? But still be able to step in and be effective. No?
No, I agree with you. And I tend to think, for
guys,
me, sorry, I'm coming in here.
These guys are shaking their head like I have nothing. I have no clue what Rogondino and Cobi Jones are saying. What, Jimmy? Why?
I just don't see it. I think in a final, things are normally tight. I think because Columbus is losing two of their more influential players going forward, it's going to be natural for the rest of the team to just want to pick their spots. They're not going to want to get exposed going the other way. Against the front three, we could argue it's one of the best front threes, not only in the league right now, but also in the history of the league. Ladero, Morris, and Rui Diaz are fantastic. And I just feel like they're going to really work on just making it difficult for them in that first half. Maybe in the second half, all these goals will show up, and that's more than possible. But we've seen mistakes happen in the past in MLS Cup. The last time there was an MLS Cup final here, goalkeeper made a mistake for the Crew, and that led the Timbers to allow them to get out there and get the victory. So you never know what can happen in a final, but I just think that it'll be tight.
Of course, Jimmy referring to the 2015 final within a then Caleb Porter Timbers team was able to win 2-1 against Columbus in that one. So 5 years ago? Heath, to use a little bit more wagering terminology, I would think that Columbus have to feel right now like they're playing with house money though, right? They're not the team that everybody's talking about because everyone's talking about Seattle maybe being a dynasty if they win this game.
Yeah, I would again say that under normal circumstances, they're home, they're playing with house money, but they're without Nagbe. And the stretch that they had their poorest form in the season was without Nagbe. They finally had a full strength team in the playoffs, and they were very good again. When they had Nagbe earlier in the season, they were sitting atop the supporter shield race for quite a while. So without him, I think it's just a different team. And again, finals take a while to settle in, pending an early goal of some kind. You want to feel each other out. I will say to Cobi's point that Morris gives something a little bit different. Aiden Morris is the best of what the options were. You had Fatah Elash, you had Berhalter, who's much more Will Trapp-esque, kind of a understudy of him. And so he's going to be the best on the ball. He's going to give them the best opportunities to build up. But I don't see them really being wide open from the start. And, again, trying to wait and pick and choose their moments, see how the game presents themselves. And, it's not looking good for me at this point. And then on top of that, by the way, I would love to hear Cobi or Jimmy's opinion on this. When you go into a week heading into a final and you have your full strength squad, you are flying on cloud nine. You're losing two of your best players now. Like that mood in the locker room, you now know that it's not like they're 18 deep or 23 deep and you can take out and put another one in. You are missing two key players in your biggest game of the year. And I think that has effects, emotional effects, just all of that combined, I think starts to lean this a lot towards Seattle.
Cobi, what do you think these guys are feeling these last couple of moments? I mean, we're just moments away from kicking off the 2020 MLS Cup final. What are these guys doing for these last few moments before they step out of the locker room?
Well, I think it's that last minute of preparation that's going on, just trying to see if they can pump themselves up, and get ready for the game. For me, I think, when you're talking from the side of looking at an under on this, I'm looking at this and just thinking that there's two teams out there, and we talk a lot about, it's under because, Columbus has lost a couple of players, but I'm thinking that makes it more open, for Seattle.
And I think, Jimmy, we shouldn't forget, too, Seattle likely probably without one of their guys, Arriaga, the Ecuadorian. Remember, he's waiting on the birth of his first child. So yes, they have ample guys in O'Neal and Gomez that'll be able to fill in those spots in that center back spot. But he was also a staple for them on and off this season.
Yeah, no question. But I think to Cobi's point a little bit too, where you have other people fill in, and that could change it, or you get a different vibe with your team, and that could be a positive or not necessarily a negative. But in Seattle's case, I think they've gotten some consistency. Now they do leak a few goals. Listen, I should just actually preface this by saying I don't like betting the under. I hate betting the under. That's no fun in betting the under. Betting the over is always the way to go. That's where the party is. I don't want to be a party pooper, but I'm just trying to look at this realistically and make sure that people have some good ideas before they go out there and wager. But I would say that yes, they're missing a player, but it's not a key player. Like Nagbe pulls the strings, like things run through him. Pedro Santos is the guy that finishes and dishes assists. Those are just harder players to replace, I think, for Columbus. But again, I love the Crew. They're the hardest working team in America for a reason. That's their own tagline. So I'm going with it. They have a rich history, and it would be very cool for them to see them win this, especially in the last ever game in the stadium. And fun fact to everybody, I beat Cobi Jones in an MLS Cup in 2001. So in this stadium. So there's a lot going on in this one.
Oh, the digs are starting early. We're just getting started.
I was deciding how long it was going to take me to bring that up, but it took me about 11 minutes. So I'm pretty proud of myself.
It's the 2020 MLS
pretty
Cup
quick,
Watch
pretty quick there.
Pretty quick.
Of course, hey, if you're joining us here and you're not on the TV side, we want to make sure, shout out to your friends. We're streaming on the Fox Sports app, foxsports.com. We're also on the Fox Soccer Twitter page, Facebook, and YouTube. And remember, you can go to Fox Soccer's Twitter and send in questions. We'll do our best to get these guys to answer whatever it is throughout the course of our coverage here for this 2020 MLS Cup final. Heath, you know, you're the guy that actually, between these two, that didn't win an MLS Cup. So it took me 12 minutes to bring that up.
Well, how many do you win, Rogo?
Yeah. You and Heath are tied.
As a commentator,
we have 0 between us.
I actually have 2 rings upstairs, Heath. I can go get them if you want.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll give you those. I'll give you those.
What are you looking for from this Seattle team? I think, as Jimmy mentioned, the attacking 3 up on top. And when you talk about Morris, Raul Ruidiaz, and Nico Lodero, I mean, that is pretty tough for defenders to handle. How's Columbus going to handle all of this coming at them here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard. Columbus is one of the best teams defensively all season long, and that's one of the things they will provide regardless of who they put on. That is a style of play. That is a system of play that they approach this game with. So I don't think that will be different. They're going to be hard to break down. But when you look at the stats of these guys, right, they connect together. It's not like you just have Ruidiaz on a good day. You have Morris and you have Lodero on a good day. All these guys are combining together. They're both double digits, goals and assists across all of them. And so their connection to each other is really hard to stop. And if you start to overcommit on any of them, you have 2 other players that can punish you at any time. So I think it's going to be a long night for Columbus, but again, they're a good team. They don't give up a lot of goals. I think they were 1st or 2nd in goals against in the regular season. And so it's going to be entertaining to say the least.
So let's get a little prediction time since we're getting really close to kicking off the first half. I'll start with you, Cobi. And they say defense wins championships. Yes, Columbus has had the better, probably by the numbers, of these 2 defenses this year. But you can kind of throw that out the window, can't you, in a final, especially when you're facing a team like Seattle that's in their 4th final in the last 5 years.
Yeah, Seattle is a powerhouse, and they're on the verge of trying to establish this dynasty, rather if they want to acknowledge it or not. If they get this victory, it is a dynasty. And they, as Heath has kind of said, you look at those players, Ruidiaz, Lodero, and Morris, that combination going up against a Columbus side that is missing 2 key players, especially Nagbe in the heart of that midfield where Lodero is going to be, and you're putting a 19-year-old kid against them. Okay. Maybe you played a little safe. Maybe this kid steps up, but my money is on the fact that those 3 will find ways to put the ball in the back of the net. So I'm feeling that this game's going towards Seattle.
You can see some Twitter questions already coming in, and the ask there, I'll go to you first, Jimmy. Who will be an unsung hero for one of these teams tonight?
I'll probably go with an unsung hero for Seattle in general. I think Christian Roldan is somebody that probably doesn't get enough credit for what he does for the team. He's a glue in a lot of different ways. He does a lot of the thankless work to make sure those front 3 can go run free going forward. And I hope he gets another look with the national team. And I'm sure he would have been in camp against El Salvador if they had been knocked out a little bit earlier. But I'll go with Christian Roldan. Maybe even a shout out for his brother, Alex Roldan. I just think those guys are going to want to do something special tonight and could come up big.
Heath?
Yeah, I'm going to go with João Paulo just because I think his game changes when you don't have to deal with Nagbe or Pedro Santos as much. So now you're focusing on Zelarayan, and that will allow him to really try to mark him out, whether he's going to track him or not or follow him around the field. He has a much easier job, and I think if this result happens for Seattle, it's going to be because of his ability to neutralize Zelarayan.
What about you, Cob?
What's interesting? I mean, we're talking about Seattle a lot, and Ruidiaz gets a lot of credit, and Morris gets a lot of credit. I'm not sure. I'm looking at the total league-wide. I think Lodero doesn't get enough credit overall in what he does for this Seattle team. And so I don't know if it's exactly an unsung hero, but I think he's deserving of being one of those top-tier players in the entire league, because I think we tend to kind of gloss over the fact. But I think Jimmy kind of mentioned it. He makes this whole team run. Wherever Lodero goes and what he does really is the function of this whole Seattle team going forward. So just pay attention to him.
Surprise here, guys. You guys know me well. I'm going to actually go with Stefan Fry. He's already won
Goalkeeper, what do you know?
He's already won an MLS Cup MVP, I think back in 2016 when Seattle captured their first one against Toronto FC. But for me, I think he's not going to win a Cup MVP in this one here, but I think a couple of really key saves if Seattle's going to win it. I think that would be huge. So obviously, I think we're with the public here in this one, guys, that it sounds like Seattle, especially without Nagbe and Pedro Santos in there for Columbus, it sounds like they are the favorite heading into the first half kickoff here in this one. So let's go over to the Crew. Heath, why will the Crew win tonight?
I think it's Zelarayan. I think he's the one. Obviously, I think Zardes has to play a role. I think Zelarayan and Zardes are the two key players. They're going to have to carry more of the load. But I do think Zelarayan, when you talk about building a team and adding a key player that needs to deliver in the playoffs, that's the type of player, right? You're in a final now. He's going to have to. He may not contribute big numbers of goals and assists over a full season. That's yet to be seen. But that's where you have him here. A game changer, somebody that can, when everyone else is bad, create a moment of brilliance that can win for this team. And obviously, Zardes has been in great form this year. So I'm going to go with between the two of them, but I'm going to say Zelarayan has to have his best game yet for them to have any chance at winning.
Jimmy, I think Heath makes a great point from the sense that this guy does already have some winning pedigree. He won, I think, 2 or 3 titles while he was with Tigres in Liga MX. So why not be for him to be able to help lead the Crew to their second ever MLS Cup tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, winners win, and he's proven that he has that pedigree, as you mentioned. But I think there's going to be even more focus on him, like Heath mentioned a little bit earlier, from some very good players on Seattle. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to find that space. And I think that Seattle has an advantage because they played against one of the best players in the league, in my opinion, Minnesota United's Reynoso, the number 10, who's been very special since he joined up with Minnesota. So I think they have a little experience from the last game of playing against somebody that's that talented in that position of the field. And I think they're going to try to box them in a little bit. But to Heath's point also, if Zardes can stretch the field a little bit, if Derek Etienne, who hasn't played in a while, can come in and do something and help kind of balance out the sides, and then we got Lucas Diaz on the other side, excuse me, that could be pretty dangerous. And hopefully that would open up space for Zelarayan in the middle of the field. Still a big order, though. The Seattle team, what I really like about them is that they've won in so many different ways just in these playoffs. They beat LAFC 3-1 in a game that they probably should have won, right? So they went out there and beat a team that they should beat. And then they went and beat FC Dallas 1-0, which is very unlike them. They don't win a lot of 1-0 games. And then they came from behind with 3 goals in the last 15 minutes to beat Minnesota in the last one. So they're not rattled by anything. They can see any situation, and they're very cool and calm. And I just think that's going to be tough for Columbus in general, whether Nagbe and Pedro Santos were playing or not.
We pause for a moment with the conclusion of the anthem inside Mapfre Stadium out there in Columbus, Ohio. And I do like, what's great about actually this setup here for this one tonight, guys, the 2020 MLS Cup Final. I like that there is a scattering of fans inside the stadium there in Columbus. I mean, we all know that 2020 has been anything but normal for all of us right now, right? And so to be able to at least see some fans in there, and I don't know, Cobi, do I think that could give the Crew a little bit of a boost tonight?
Oh yeah, home field always gives you a bit of a boost. I mean, there's those little intangibles, that we like to say, of just knowing your field and where the ball tends to die, if there's a wet spot, and all those things that go into account. I always used to think, okay, this part of the field might be a little bit wetter, the defender might slip, all these little things that I would always, go at players with to try to get an advantage against players like Jimmy as much as possible. But these are the things that happen. And if you have some fans there, especially going through a season that has been very awkward and different, and not having a lot of fans around, to actually have some fans there and majority cheering for you, that could be a difference maker. I think it's the fans, the home field, and that defense. I think the defense is one thing that you got to watch out that could give Crew that little step up, that back line, Mensah in the middle. He has been something special throughout the year.
I think you guys are probably going to call me crazy, but obviously I'm the one in the media side that has been doing this a little bit longer than you guys. And so sometimes I look at weird storylines and how they might come full circle. And for me, it's almost talking about Caleb Porter now that he's on that job there with the Columbus Crew, second year there. He already won, as we alluded to earlier, with Portland in that same stadium. Heath, is there some weird karma, some weird mojo that can circle around in the universe where he's back in that same stadium and now he delivers for the Crew?
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? He's gotten his team there, and you look at both of these coaches, and there hasn't been a respect, even for myself. When I look at Caleb Porter, I don't put him in a category of a spectacular coach. I've never worked with him, but from the outside looking in, players that I know have worked with him, friends of mine, things like that, there's never been this sort of like guru or some special ability. You know, doesn't have a nickname yet. And so I look at that and I think, man, how is he getting to this? And there's obviously some sort of recipe for success. He's obviously taken on a team that Greg Berhalter left, very similar to Greg Berhalter's style in the past. But, you know, he's been and he's won in the stadium before in front of his traveling fans, and now he's home. There will be fans in the stadium, which I think is special for a home game, though it won't be many. And so I do think he has the ability to get his team going. I don't know if he's going to be overly emotional about this or how he preps his team in the locker room going into this. But if you can't get up for a final, then you can't get up for anything.
Yeah, we're about to kick it off. You guys each get 10 seconds. Prediction. Jimmy, Conrad, go.
I'll say 1-0 to the Seattle Sounders.
Cobi.
Wait, can we get Heath next? I want to hear what Heath has to say.
1-0 in regulation, Seattle Sounders.
Cobi.
Guys, you guys are so boring. I'm going 3-1 Sounders. I got to have the over.
I'm with you, Cobe. I like that. It's 2-1 tight. I think the Crew are pressing to try and get one to equalize, and that's when they get exposed maybe in the final 5 minutes. 3-1 is my prediction as well. So hey, we got 2 overs, 2 unders, but I think we all agree it's going to be tough for the Crew to get this one done tonight. Obviously, if you're over on the TV side, you got Rob Stone and his crew on the pregame, and you got John Strong, Stu Holden, and Katie Witham there in game. But we want you to join us here, right? What's better than this 2020 MLS Cup watch party right here across all of the Fox Sports and Fox Soccer platforms. Remember, be sure to go ahead and take to Twitter, twitter.com/Fox Soccer. Send us some of your questions and comments, and we'll keep them going throughout the course of our coverage here tonight. Remember, we got some special guests coming here, guys. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but we got some special guests coming in here to join us to talk about the game and probably quiz us a little bit on how we're doing so far. So underway, Seattle and Columbus from out there in Columbus, Ohio. I got to say, I love it that neither team is wearing the white jerseys. Like they're in their customary colors to get this thing started. I like the All Blacks for the Crew in particular.
Yeah, I'll jump in here really quick. I think one of the things I like to watch out for when I'm seeing a game begin is just the starting points for the outside backs in particular. How high are they going to try to press the ball? How high are they going to try to join in the attack? Are they being conservative? I think it's a sign of kind of the tactics that you're seeing from the coaches. So keep an eye on both outside backs for both teams to see, just how much pressure they're going to try to put on the other team right away.
Is it true, Cobi, when they talk about being in a final like this from your playing days, that you do have, no matter how big the magnitude of a player, you do have a little bit of nerves until you get that first tackle, you get that first touch in, maybe that first long run?
Yeah, I would agree with that there's always nerves because there's just all that energy built up for the previous week of this one game because it culminates of your whole season. So yes, there's nerves. But, it's funny. You start to get into that zone, as they say, once you're like 10, 15 minutes into it. And you'd be surprised that if you're winning, how quickly that time goes by. And if you're how slowly that time goes by. And if you're losing, how quickly it goes by. So it's just one of those things. It's natural in a final, but I got to say already, it's exciting to see how quickly Columbus is coming out into the attack.
I was just going to say set pieces can be an equalizer, right? Corner chance here in the opening 2.5 minutes for the Crew.
I think one thing that we didn't talk about, Mark, was the return of Eloy Room back in goal for the Columbus Crew. We were speaking about how the Columbus Crew can win, and I think he's a big reason why. You talked about Stefan Fry being your guy to watch out for. Either team that's going to win is going to be from a goalkeeper standing on their head. So yes, I think that him coming back into the team, the back four being solid for the Crew is also going to be very important as well.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, Eloy Room coming back, he's obviously been out for a little bit, and they've chosen to bring him back for a final, obviously without getting many reps. I don't know if he's been training, if he, how long he's been cleared to play for. And so for me, it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can get himself into the game, having not had a ton of reps lately.
Columbus actually so far 2 shutouts in each of their last 2 games. So will they continue that defensive mindset that has been solid for them and gotten them here to this final? Certainly something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think there's one of those plays to Cobi's point a little bit earlier about, you make
Columbus
a good
trying
play,
to establish a little
gives you
possession
confidence.
here. I think
Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. They're coming into the attacking end. Obviously, we all might be a couple of seconds in front or behind just a little bit, but I'm impressed so far with Columbus's starting points. Another corner upcoming here. Good chance.
What I'm looking at and what I'm seeing here so far is just
how about as far as physicality, Heath? What are we expecting from these guys in this game? As far as, is there going to be a ton of?
Yeah, they'll definitely be.
Go ahead,
be
Cob.
physical, right?
Our audios are all over the place.
Well, you know what? I think we might have somebody who might be able to help sort it out. I think we've got Karina LeBlanc on the line. See if I can get our favorite Canadian goalkeeper to step up here. I always have a soft spot for the goalkeepers. KK, can you hear us? Well, you know what? I think we might have Karina, can you hear us? We're coming through live here on the 2020 MLS.
I'm
Cup
here.
Final
Can you
Watch
guys hear
Party.
me? I can't hear you.
There, I see her.
we got you.
I can't hear you.
It must be. There she is. We could just do sign language. Okay. We'll get Karina's audio sorted out here in just a minute, and get her take on this one. In the meantime, everyone can just focus. Good chance in front there. Cobi, we've already seen some attacking chances. The Crew, I'm surprised that the majority of what we've seen so far is played in their half, in the Seattle defensive half.
We can just say goalkeepers are the best position in the world.
I'm sure, Rogo, that you enjoyed that from Karina. But for me, looking at this game the way it's going so far, yeah, Columbus is having a lot of direct attack. So they're going to the long ball. They're hitting Giassi, getting it up to him quick and attacking very quickly like we're seeing right now. And this looks like a decent opportunity coming up. And they're putting crosses in. They're getting into those dangerous areas. But what I see where if Seattle can settle a little bit, that central area is still wide open. If they put players into that area, they'll be able to gain some space and gain some possession of the field in there. But right now, yeah, Columbus over these first few minutes, the opening 15, they always say it's the most dangerous, and I'd say Columbus has the better of it.
It's been a little surprising, I think, Heath, that we haven't seen Lodero really on the ball at all so far.
Yeah, look, they're trying to settle in. Obviously, Columbus has been able to get to a good start, as Cobi said, and are starting to lean on him. You could see Seattle's dropping off already on any sort of turnovers. They're dropping pretty deep, and that's going to allow Columbus to get more and more in the game.
I like, I think it was you, Heath, who said Lucas Zelarayan might be a real big X factor. He was the one that was influential moments ago, trying to get that chance forward and at least, kind of disrupt things at the top of the attacking third. Yeah,
he's going to be able to come off the shoulder of the midfield. Obviously he becomes a much more important player, as I mentioned before, and you have less attacking threats without a Nagbe on the field. So it's important that he stays involved in the game, and he's going to have to take on a little bit bigger of a load to create something special to get them a result today.
All right, let's try this again. Karina LeBlanc, is she with us? KK, can you hear us? Now I can't hear her. How great is that? 2020, thanks. Well, KK, you look great, but we can't hear you right now. So give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Before we could hear you, but you couldn't hear us. Now we can't hear you. How about let's just try the unmute button. No. What are your thoughts on the first half so far? I'm kidding. I can't.
Hear me now?
I can't hear you. Yeah. And, but by the way, KK, I do want you to know that everyone here on the stream, everyone did get your comment that yes, the goalkeepers are the best.
Okay, that's all that's important.
Right.
That's why you brought me on, right?
Jimmy, I feel like justice and flow of play don't always go hand in hand. So this could be the perfect case where Columbus is off to a great start 10 minutes into this game right now, but all of a sudden you give Seattle one good quality chance to combine and get into the attacking third, and the game balance really switches.
Yeah, no question. I actually want to echo the sentiments from Cobi, because I thought he brought up the fact that they are playing very direct, the Columbus Crew, and it is making a difference. And they're pressing super high, and they're kind of forcing and baiting Seattle to, yeah, sure, go for it. Play through us a little bit. Try to get it to Ladero and see what happens. And that's really played into their hands. And I think a set piece is something that I could see the Crew score on. But as Cobi also said, once they settle, once Seattle starts to establish their own rhythm and domination, that's where I think it's going to be a little bit harder for the Crew to run like maniacs for 90 minutes to try to press the ball. So we'll see. If they don't score when they have these advantages, the Crew, it's going to be harder for them to find those types of opportunities later on.
Guys, it's just back to the four of us. We tried, KK. I mean, you guys are stuck with me. I'm sorry. We were trying to bring the level up here and bring, Canadian international into the fold, but
we were trying to upgrade on the goalkeeper position, but
Ow. What have you seen from the outside backs? I think one of you guys was mentioning starting positions, how involved that they get. We're 10 minutes in so far, 11 minutes in. What have you seen from the outside backs, and what is that indicating to you?
Heath, go for it. You're an outside back.
Yeah, I haven't seen much from outside backs yet. There hasn't been a lot of action from those spaces from the outside backs. Obviously, when you're coming into a game like this, you're not going to be too high and wide or too exposed. You're going to play in those half positions and make sure that you wait for or pick and choose your moments to go forward. And it looks like, now so far, now while I say that Columbus's outside backs are both up in the corner flags, but I do think that they're going to be an important part of this game. But let's not forget that Seattle is totally comfortable playing any way that it takes. They've got enough ability that if they're up against the wall, they still have three players up front that can jam on the counter. And so if you are going to have your outside backs high and wide, for example, you are going to be leaving gaps. And if you have a couple players cheating and a bad transition, that's where Seattle can punish you.
I really haven't seen Jordan Morris get on the ball hardly at all. I mean, I mentioned Ladero. He started to get a few touches a moment ago, but we haven't seen Seattle, who normally have some freedom down that left-hand side to get Jordan Morris involved, really do anything so far. Good talk.
Well, Rogo, I mean, if you look at we talked about in the first few minutes that Columbus is being very direct, right? But if you see when Seattle gets the ball, they're looking directly to try to get Morris. We saw Morris get into a dangerous position, pass Apple a couple of times on that left flank. He just hasn't been able to put a quality cross in yet or find Rui Diaz. That's where the look is going to be, and you're going to see this throughout the matchup. And as they go forward, I tend to think that you're going to have this Seattle almost cheat a little bit and allow Morris to stay a little bit higher, a little bit more freedom, because let's be honest, he's the most threatening player that they have in a game if Columbus is going to put people forward.
The Costa Rican Diaz chopped down, so we could see one of those set pieces maybe here for Columbus, but that also gives us a chance. Third time is the charm. Karina LeBlanc, are you there? Third
I am here.
Can you hear me now?
All right.
KK. What's up, KK?
Talking. Hey.
Welcome to the party, KK.
Hey, this is the best party ever. You know what? I just nobody was letting me in. You know, it was like I'm knocking, being like, I swear, but
You got to know the bouncer.
I know. But go ahead, Mark.
I said, let's take in this set piece right here and see. We've seen a reaction from all of us. Not much doing there. Karina, what have you seen so far in the first almost 15 minutes here in this one?
You know me, I'm all about the goalkeepers. So I've seen easy play. What I'd love to see is some highlight reels. Nobody loves to watch the soccer game with me because I'm all about, like, if we're talking about Fry, and I know you guys are talking about 2016 when he made that unbelievable save. I just want to see stuff like that or no work at all for the goalkeepers. But I mean, this is an exciting game, and to the point you guys were talking about for what 2020 has been about. Just the fact that we're here having this conversation, watching a cup final is pretty exciting.
I know where your allegiance lies when we talk about national teams, obviously, but do you have a dog in the fight tonight here? Is there maybe a personal connection with any players on either side that you're pulling for?
I'm a West Coast girl, right? So Seattle, sorry, but I'm CONCACAF, I'm neutral, but
Right.
I have to say West Coast, Seattle, you know, to me, the fact that, you know, everyone is thinking Columbus was going to be successful, and then obviously some positive tests, there's drama around that, but I got to go with Seattle. And I know I'm not making it exciting. I know there was 1-0. Cobi threw out the 3-1. I'm just going to say 2-2, then a penalty kick shootout, where I'm going to go with Fry for the win.
Yep.
I respect that.
Crickets? Nobody else?
I
Listen,
I love it.
I respect that.
Very good.
I wholeheartedly disagree, but I respect it.
Yes.
You know,
Okay,
bringing the drama.
okay.
I need more. I need more of that because I don't want a 1-0 in a final. Most finals are typically underwhelming in terms of the scoreline because teams sort of sit back and wait for things to present themselves. So if we do get Kobe's prediction or we get your 2-2 and Stefan Fry stands on his head, I am all for that. It'll be one that I'll never forget. I mean, I'll never forget it because I'm with you guys tonight, but you know, on the field.
You always remember your first, Heath, your first watch party. You always remember it, man. Where are you taking this one in from, KK? Where are you? Where's
I'm
home?
actually in the Bahamas. I'm in the Bahamas.
Oh,
Must be nice.
yeah.
It's like I hate when that question's asked, but yeah. I've been here all COVID. I had a baby and I haven't moved. I'm staying home. I'm staying safe. I'm not moving. So this is where it is.
Oh,
Did you guys see that?
No, I'm way behind.
Stop.
I'm so far behind.
There's your save. That's what you wanted.
This is all I gotta say, okay? See, I really wanted to say 0-0, but I wanted to please the audience tonight. But like stuff like that is why I love the game. And that's why it sucks to watch the game with me. Because like
I saw it just now. Oh,
what?
Listen, if Columbus can't score and if Columbus can't score in these situations, they're not going to go on to win the game. I mean, they're all over Seattle right now. If I'm a Sounders fan, I am squeaky bum time because you are actually like holding on for dear life at this moment. And this is a tremendous save. You need a hot goalkeeper to win any type of trophy, and Stefan Fry is one of the best, I think, to ever do it in the league, and definitely Mr. Clutch. And that is a tremendous save. What a hero.
I'm refreshing my internet. You guys are too far ahead right now. I'm on a landline too, man. It's crazy. This could be the worst 90 ever for me if I'm just getting spoiler alerts 5 seconds before it happens.
Karina, hey, that was a great save from Fry, no question, but I don't think he can do anything about it. It was more the ball found him, wasn't it?
Pardon me, Mark? Are you speaking as a goalkeeper here?
The
ball didn't find him. He found the ball. The reaction time to make that save, and like what Jimmy said, like, listen, big goalkeepers come up in big moments, and Fry's done it before. That's why I picked him in the penalty kick shootout. He'll do it again, and this shifts the conversation. This shifts the momentum. The players are feeling it. I mean, that's one of those saves where you're like, as a defender, as a Jimmy defender, turning around and being like, God help me, and the goalkeeper ends up being the god. Sorry to say.
All right, we know we love you hopping in and finally getting to chat with us here, Karina LeBlanc. She's one of the best, former Canadian international goalkeeper. Hey, tell people real quick who haven't seen you for a while. I know you retired from the game, but you're heavily involved still. Tell them what you're doing.
I am. I'm head of women's football at CONCACAF, so all 41 of our countries, and we just released our women's ecosystem, which will help develop and grow the game and throughout the entire region. Double the amount of games in a 4-year cycle. We have our Women's Nations League coming up, and most importantly, we're just growing the game and inspiring girls through football, or soccer as we call it.
And you're being a mama. How old's that little baby?
She's 8 months old, and she's the best thing. And she's already a goalkeeper, Mark. Don't worry. She's already. She's stopping it.
Hey, Karina, I got the press release from the new competitions from CONCACAF, and it did kindly say, dear women's soccer or football, and then next to it, soccer fans. So I appreciate you giving love to both football and soccer, how we pronounce it here.
I love that.
We got to do it to all,
Yeah.
Bring it all together. You guys are awesome. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See
And
you.
I'm telling you, I'll be going crazy every save.
Hey, I'm just going to leave you with this. Make sure you retweet the stream. Tell people to throw some questions at us, and we'll keep doing our best to answer them.
I will. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hi, Karina.
That's Karina LeBlanc, and it's now back to the fearsome foursome. As I think, Jimmy, you said our audio is all over the place, but I didn't finally figure out what save you guys were talking about till I saw it about 30 seconds later. I mean, but back to your point, if Columbus are going to win this game, they've got to bury some of these chances because that momentum meter is in their favor, and all of a sudden you can just see a dynamic shift going back the other way, and Seattle then all of a sudden has the edge.
I mean, imagine Seattle scoring now. You just take all the wind out of Columbus and all this momentum, as you say, that they've earned. They've really come out and earned this momentum. They've got a ton of set pieces already. That's why I thought they could hurt the Sounders, and they've gotten a great opportunity with Stefan Fry making a great save. And if they can't take advantage, they can't capitalize. Rui Diaz, who hasn't really touched the ball at all, is somehow going to find one, going to hit the back of the net, and the crew fans are going to be, and the players are going to be disappointed. It's going to be hard to fight back, I think, from that.
Yeah, but Heath, isn't it equally for Seattle that they could be, oh, hey, we haven't played that well at all. Columbus has been all over us, yet it's 0-0 right now, almost to the midway point of this first half.
Yeah, Seattle has an ability to find a way, and I will say this over and over again. The longer you leave them in, the more their ability is to beat you. If you go back to all their playoff games, right? And Columbus had by far an easier path to the final here, playing a 6th, a 7th, and an 8th seed. But Seattle, they stay in games. They don't care how beautiful it is. They don't care how many chances. They seem to have this short-term memory loss that as long as they're in it, they think that they can still win. They're not, when people talk about a dynasty, so often they connect that team to this beautiful, attractive style of play where they're playing teams off the pitch and all these things. They have difference makers. They have experience. They are built to be in the playoffs. And that's a fearful thing to coach against, to prep for, because it's not like a certain system where you're like, oh, wow, they play this beautiful build out of everything or whatever. They just have enough difference makers that can beat this Columbus team. So now you're looking at Columbus, their pressing line is 15 above the center circle. They're dropping off when they break that first line of pressure. But I like the fact that they're still on the front foot and pressing forward, because I think they're still going to have a few minutes in this half to at least be leaning on Seattle and potentially get one or two big chances that they're going to have to finish.
We're approaching 25 minutes upcoming here, depending on where you are in your stream, right? But and happy to have you along here on the 2020 MLS Watch Party here with @Fox Soccer. Obviously, one of the other big things coming out this past week, and I wanted to wait a little while till we got into the game flow a little bit, till we got to it, guys, was the release of the top 25 all-time players in Major League Soccer. Only one of us that's here right now made that list, so I'm going to start with that guy, Cobi Jones. What did you make of the list? It's always hard because immediately when I looked at it, Cobi, I'm like, oh, wow, what this guy wasn't on there, or I'm not sure if that guy deserved to be. What did you think?
Well, first off, I have to acknowledge that I'm honored to be on that list, and that after 25 years of this league, that I'm still in consideration, because it's quite some time ago that I played. And I will say that when I see the list and what it's representing, it's like the influence. And so you see a lot of players from the early years and stuff like that. And that's what people have to remember for when they say, oh, such and such wasn't on it, this person wasn't on it. I mean, I was saying, oh my gosh, Jimmy and Heath aren't on it. What am I going to say to them? You know, but when it comes down to it, it's all about having an
Suck it,
influence.
losers. That's what I would say. Suck it, losers.
I thought it was great. It only took me 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get that in, Jimmy? Sorry.
You didn't have to say anything, Cobi, because as soon as I wasn't on the list, you stopped texting me back. So your lack of words said more than the words themselves.
No, I think it's great honor, but like you said, Mark, there's a lot of people on there that could be good. Whoa! Oh, sorry. I'm sorry if I ruined it for you guys.
Just give me 30 seconds. Go, just
unbelievable.
Seconds.
Heath is going to see it in 10 minutes.
I'm switching it. Yeah. Oh my Lord.
Heath, I'm waiting too. Heath, I'm waiting too.
Home field advantage.
Heath, we've already missed our prediction. Wow.
Oh,
what
something about these mistakes from the goalkeeper in the stadium in finals.
It was Lucas.
The guy's a winner. Winners win.
What a great touch. Yeah.
What a good ball. What a ball.
Yeah,
the ball's absolutely fantastic. It's a long searching ball to the far post, and Zelarayan, and that's the great thing. He doesn't even have to hit it hard. It's just connecting, getting it to the back post, and what a golazo that is. This is exactly what Columbus needed to do to, have a chance at winning this game. And right now, underdogs stepping up.
I think this is the same side of the field when it was MLS Cup 2015, I believe, that there was a goalkeeper mistake.
You think that's a goalkeeper mistake?
Yeah, come on.
You think?
I don't think that's a goalkeeper mistake. I think that's a great ball.
He's got a lot of hand and body on it.
Yeah, but he's trying to anticipate a better chance. I don't think he anticipated it going right out.
Well, are we calling Stefan Fry the best, or are we not?
That's fair.
What do we want to do?
No, well, if you hold him to
let's ask Rogondino. Is that a mistake? Or should we get Karina back on?
If we hold him to his own standard, yes, he should save that. But he already saved their bacon once. I don't know. That's pretty harsh to say a full-on mistake. But I have more issues. I have more issues with the outside back.
We mean as far as the coverage, and he wasn't tight on Zelarayan.
Yeah, I'd like to see kind of the rollback of the whole play, just the last, the 3, 4, 5, 6 passes before, to see where the breakdown in team shape is, because you shouldn't have the best player on Columbus be that wide open back post. That just should never happen. And there's no pressure on the ball for the cross. I have a lot of issues before it even gets to Stefan Fry.
You guys friends,
so
Jimmy?
The 2020 MLS Newcomer of the Year. Could be.
Maybe.
Okay. Looking at this,
goalkeepers. Sorry, go ahead, Cobi.
Yeah, no, I just saw a replay of it, and you do see that Zelarayan is open, and the defender, I think it is Roldan, is late. He's on the back side of him where he should be. He's caught behind the attack, so he's trying to catch up, and by the time the ball gets there, it's a one touch and it's in the back of the net. Yeah, so it's just a late transition, it looks like, and I think it was Roldan.
So first strike comes through Columbus, and now how much confidence is that going to give them? The fact that they were knocking on the door, and now all of a sudden they are able to break through the Argentine.
I think it's all confidence for Columbus right now. I don't want to spoil too much of all the stuff that's coming up for you guys. You guys are so far behind on the feed. You guys need to upgrade. You guys going to get the 5G yet or what?
I see it all of a sudden. Jair Marufo's coming into the fold here and making an appearance here. We should add
nice little make.
Marufo. This is his third MLS Cup final in the center as the referee, and in fact, he was the guy who was, I believe, at the center when the last time that there was a final here in 2015.
How much credit? Thinking about this, we're 29th minute. how much credit do you have to give to this Columbus team missing 2 of their star players, to go up 1-0 and to be on the front foot, this long into the match? Usually you see it maybe 15 minutes in or something that they're going, but they're continuing to push. And I give a lot of credit to the players, but also the philosophy of Caleb Porter. He gets a lot of criticism, but he gets his players ready for the big matches.
Yeah, I agree with
Caleb.
that. I think.
Go ahead, Heath.
Yeah, I think. I was surprised at how aggressive they came out. I was surprised at how on the front foot they were. They settled in. Obviously, you're playing at home. You expect that to be the case. But, you're losing a couple key players. Maybe you do sit back a little bit and let the game present itself. But they didn't. They pressed high. They're winning balls. Everything. The energy from the team has actually been really surprising for me. Not that the energy not that I expected it to be poor, but this has been a really surprising start for Columbus Crew.
You can hear the audio from the stadium right now. It sounds pretty loud in there. I'm sure that's coming through for you guys as well. I guess the good news for Seattle is, they've been here before, right? Case in point, last time out in the West Final against Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing where Columbus, and I'm sure Caleb Porter knows, is they can't settle down, especially on the defensive side, just knowing against Minnesota how Seattle came back.
I know that Crew fans probably wouldn't really want to hear it, but I think from the fans' perspective across the board, it makes it a better final that Columbus actually got on the board.
Oh my! Oh, sorry, guys.
I'm seeing long ball over the top right now.
Oh. Can I switch my 3-1 Seattle to 3-1 Columbus?
Oh my God! I just saw it right now. What I'll say really quick is that the Crew are definitely, trying to hit in early crosses before maybe the back four can get set, before the outside back can step out to block them. That's how they pretty much set both of these goals. Both of them got started from an early cross from a little bit deeper, and it's created some gaps and it's created some issues. And on this one in particular, they win the second ball, and then Zelarayan does what he does, which is a ton of composure inside the box. And God, what a finish! Etienne, welcome back. He's been hurt for a while.
I mean, this is where you start to see the stadium making a big difference, right? When you think about going full stadium down to a smaller capacity, it makes a huge difference, right? You say, okay, it's not as loud, it's not as big. But when you go from zero capacity to even a small capacity, there is an energy that you can see inside that stadium that they are feeding off of, and just to have those fans there is making a huge difference, And I think that's creating what feels like a home field advantage, which we haven't seen in months.
Well, we had maybe a little bit of question whether or not it was somewhat of a goalkeeping error from Stefan Fry in the first for Zelarayan. Fry had no chance on this one. Well taken by Etienne Jr. I mean, that is a beautiful executed finish to curl it into that far corner to double the lead.
I got some issues with that.
No, I'm looking at this game. I'm looking at this, and it's interesting to me on how Seattle's playing, where Jones is tucked so far inside that it's almost like he's crowding that space where he's usually out wide on the right. I know they're allowing Roldan to get forward, but as Roldan's getting forward, I'm surprised they're not seeing that he's getting beat in transition on the way back. Let Jones stay out wide. Let him use that space. Let Roldan sit for a bit and use the pace of Jones in there, and let your central players sit there and create, because you have to think that you have an advantage with who you have centrally as compared to Columbus, but they're not it's not working. It's not working for right now, because even on this last goal where it comes out wide, Roldan is tucked all the way inside. And where does that pass go? It's on that pass where he slides in, pass goes wide to Etienne, and there's no chance for him to get out there to even try to defend it.
Jimmy, were you going to say something? You had issue with on the second goal?
Yeah, we're taking a look at the highlight now. I mean, the header by Shane O'Neill to clear that out of his box goes right to Zelarayan, which is just It's unacceptable for a center back. He knows better than that. And then with regard to Alex Rodon, yeah, he got punished for being out of position on the first goal. Obviously, he's a little unlucky. He goes through his legs in this for the second goal. He just gave away a bad pass in the middle of the field. I think he's a bit rattled right now, and that's excuse me, that's something to keep an eye on moving throughout the game, because sometimes when you're feeling down on yourself, it's hard to regain that confidence.
Hey, it only takes one right here, though, from Seattle all of a sudden to, pull some momentum back, and it's right back to game on, isn't it? No time for Columbus to take their foot off the gas pedal. They got them where they want them right now, don't they?
They do. I just don't think Seattle's ever out of these games. They do look flustered for sure. A number of players don't really look at themselves. Again, we go back to Minnesota and you think, okay, Seattle's never really out of games and clearly capable of staying in it. That's, you start to think, is that an outlier for them? Or, they are capable of coming back into big games, but this is a final, right? Like, it's not like Columbus are going to be exposed. You're actually falling right into where Columbus are best, which is defensively, in their blocks, discipline in the way that they move side to side. They are totally comfortable taking and withstanding that pressure. It's going to require, I think, a goal before half for Seattle to really, really see a swing in this opportunity or in this game.
Jimmy, you mentioned, I think Cobi, it was you talked about that we haven't seen anything from Ruidíaz as far as touches up top. So if you're saying, like he's saying, Seattle definitely would love to have one here in the final 10 minutes of this first half. But my question would be, where's it coming from?
Well, I think it's got to come from those three that we talk about, Ruidíaz up top or Morris, or Ladero. But what I'm concerned with for Seattle is when you see them in their play, they don't have possession at all in Columbus's half. And that's an issue. You don't have Ladero on the ball being able to pick his head up and try to find Morris or to find Ruidíaz. They're not getting that at all. So that's going to be the big problem. I want to see, there's a lot of talk about Smetzer and how is he as a coach? Is he good just for Seattle? Can he go other places? Well, this would be a big test here. How does he adjust, within this game when things are not working out, that you're getting beaten consistently on the flank? Because not only is Roldan having trouble, the service keeps coming from the right. So there's always times that they're getting beat outside on the wings, and they're about to have some more service coming in here right now. Sorry, I don't want to ruin anything for you guys.
I think you've actually really started to like this part, Cobe.
Oh, close one. I like this part. I like that I'm ahead of you guys by
you guys are the worst.
Why don't you go ahead and hit the pause button for like 30 seconds, and then we'll all be together.
I do respect Schmetzer's lean against the old, bench posts, no matter what the situation is. Nice and calm, composed, and he must be thinking, man, this is going to be a big hill to climb.
Oh!
I will say, though, they were down 2-0 to Minnesota United with 15 minutes left, and the super subs came in and saved the day. Will Bruin in particular made a big difference, his energy. And that's energy that they could probably use, frankly. They're missing a little something. And giving bad balls away in the middle of the field like we're seeing now, or some of you guys might have already seen, is just not going to get you back in the game. It's interesting. I don't know what Seattle's game plan was and I use this quote often because I think it does define some things. Mike Tyson once famously said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And Columbus came out and punched Seattle right in the face. And right now, Seattle don't have any answers. Their whole plan is out the window. They're down 2-0. We talked about early that Columbus needs to take advantage of this momentum, and they did, and they've done it twice. It's tough. It's going to be a tough one. I'm curious to see. As to Heath's point, yes, if they can get a goal before halftime, I like Seattle to maybe do something in the second half. But if they don't, I could see Columbus locking this up and saying, thank you very much. We'll take the trophy. Thank you.
Yeah, I will say that, to Cobi's point before, is that they're having so much trouble advancing through the lines, right? They're getting it into the midfield, and that's where the turnovers are happening. They're not able to get it to any of these key players where you actually have to shift the field. If Jordan Morris is in a position where he's actually dangerous, they're going to drop off and overcommit to shift on him, and that's where you start to create some space on the field. But if they're going to keep being unable to actually get them the ball in dangerous positions, this is right where Columbus wants. They're super comfortable here. Hey, just shifted side to side, one lazy pass, and we're on the counter for the rest of this game.
Hey, I do want to remind you guys, feel free while we're here on the watch party, feel free to refresh your Twitter pages, check your Instagram feeds, because if there's anything and everything that is coming in from the fans right now, we want to make sure that we're up to speed with that. In addition to covering what is right now a 2-0 lead for the Columbus Crew in this one. Going back to what you just said, Jimmy, talking about getting punched in the mouth, I don't think there's any way we could have predicted this. I mean, it was 40 minutes ago we were talking about Seattle and how tough that this is going to be for the Crew against a really good Sounders team. Is this Caleb Porter's game plan just being executed perfectly, or is this a flat Seattle team for you so far?
I would say both, frankly. I think Seattle came out flat. They didn't match the energy or intensity that I think is needed at the beginning of a final, no less. I mean, I think just from a game, they seem flat-footed. Now you add the added layer of it being a final, and now I'm actually really disappointed they came out the way that they did. I don't know what's really going on, but maybe it's because, you know, the intensity and enthusiasm and passion that Caleb Porter has, he infused that into his team. Hey, we're down 2 players. It doesn't matter. It makes us the underdog now. We're no longer the favorites. Let's go out there and make them earn it. And just go at them, make them do something. Don't just give it to them. And I think they've done a very good job of that. And what I've really been impressed with is just how they've been able to maintain it for the whole half. Usually you can see it first 15, 20 minutes, but then that team backs off. Columbus is getting after it. And to Heath's point, and Cobi said it as well, they're making it very difficult to play through the lines. And that's been really hard for Rui Diaz and Morris and Ladero to have any influence whatsoever.
Heath, maybe it's that, or maybe it's the fact that Jimmy Conrad has a Columbus Crew jersey right over his shoulder in his beautifully decorated home studio up there.
I'm assuming they sent him that, and then he gave a prediction against them in the final. So I would assume this is the last year he's on their holiday mailing list, or whatnot. But again, I agree with Jimmy here. It's been really impressive, and I think there is some credit to Caleb Porter because Seattle can come out flat. For sure. Teams do that. Teams do that in finals. They do them in friendlies. Teams can come out that way. But if you don't have your team ready to capitalize on what the game is giving you, which is those opportunities for the counter, the pressing higher, being able to sustain higher lines and disrupt the play where, you know, when you go in, especially into big games, everybody's sort of looking to see who can settle in first. Can you get the ball on the ground? Can you get into a rhythm? And Seattle have not been able to get into a rhythm. And we're now, you know, nearing halftime, and they haven't been able to find any sort of combination play where they start to go, okay, now we're moving, overlap runs are happening, we're connecting our front three. None of that has happened yet. And that is a perfect game plan, which I would assume came from Caleb Porter.
I go back to Jordan Morris for a moment, Cobi, and I feel like one of the characteristics of Seattle's attack, and he said it earlier, they can attack in a number of different ways, but I always feel like you see Jordan Morris streaking down that left-hand side and trying to turn the corner and get in behind the last defender, and that's all of a sudden when they can wreak havoc on teams because you got Lodero in good attacking positions or Raul Ruidiaz in a spot where he can get on the end of a ball. Have you seen that? I haven't seen that at all this first half.
No, not since the first couple of minutes where they kind of went direct to Morris over the counter. The problem for me, and I'll reiterate it, is the fact that they are not getting the ball up higher up the field, you know, to the feet of Ladero. Ladero hasn't been really involved in this game so much. You know, maybe I give a lot of credit, you know, to the young kid, the 19-year-old Morris. You know, he seems to be doing a good job. Maybe it's not like a Nagbe of holding possession and keeping the ball, but he's winning balls in that midfield. He's shutting down the passing angles, making it difficult to go through. And as a winger, as a Morris, when you're sitting out on the wing and you're waiting and trying to let the game come to you or get into the game, you can only do that so long. You only just saying something's coming. But there's you're only as good as the service that comes to you, and the service is not coming to Morris right now. So Morris is going to have to come off of the line and start coming inside, which in effect takes him out of the best part of his game and Seattle out of the best part of their game.
All right, I think the rest of us are together here, at least Heath and I.
And really quick, Morris on the other side, the other Morris, the Columbus Morris. I think I said this to you, Jimmy, before we got on here, is like this is an opportunity for a 19-year-old, you know, to make a name for himself and become a star. And I think first half, since we're almost done with it, he's put himself in that category where people are going to start talking about him.
Yeah, no question. Even with the unsung hero conversation we were having, you know, we all kind of went with Seattle players, but it might look like this 19-year-old Aiden Morris, who's going to be potentially the guy that does it. Zella Rayan also is a very special player. The more I watch him, the more I enjoy watching him play. So, you know, it's just the bad giveaways here by the Sounders are just ridiculous. Like bad passes, bad clearances. I mean, you're not going to win any game, let alone a final, with these kind of decisions on the ball.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't even have the respect for Columbus at this point, and they're down 2-0, trying to play through every single thing. That's when you need to be able to get a ball into a channel, stretch them a little bit, do something different than trying to play through every single thing. Again, it's about that intelligence of taking what the game is giving you, and I think Seattle have typically been good at that. But when we go back to Zelarayan, needing to have a good game, even beyond his ability to pass the ball, whatever. The few 10s that I had the chance to play with, because I didn't get a chance to play with Cobi.
He wore 13.
Throwing shade.
No, I didn't. But 10s you don't have a ton of 10s anymore, right? But one of the things that 10s do well is just frustrate the heck out of a defense, right? He's now drawing fouls that are killing the momentum of the game in important positions. Those are the little details that he gets, and now somebody's frustrated, they go up and they kick him, and now Columbus can slow the game down, have a free kick, really, really take the wind out of anything that Seattle was trying to get going.
Probably to speak to your point about making the most of what's being given to them right now, Heath, I just flipped up the stats to this point. And obviously it's overwhelming possession in favor of Seattle so far here through this first half, as we're almost to the halftime whistle. So it's not really, but it doesn't, to me, does it look like counterattacking chances for Columbus, or is it just when they get the ball, they're off and running, doing their thing?
I think it's bad turnovers. I think Columbus is now the stat of possession is always going to shift when it's 2-0 and you're playing at home and you're in a final. You don't really care about having the ball. You're like, hey, it's been working so far. The most important thing is to stay disciplined and in our blocks, because eventually we're going to frustrate Seattle. They're going to cough up a ball and we're going to counterattack. And you've got one of the hottest strikers in the league right now in Zardes, and you've got Zelarayan that can put him on a platter. So why change something that's working so well right now?
Although it seems like Zardes has been, I'm not going to say invisible, but because of how hot and how good he's been with scoring so far this season and in the postseason, it almost seems like Columbus are exploiting other spaces and other guys are getting more space on the field because of that threat. No?
Yeah, I'd jump in and just say that I think Zardes has done a lot of the thankless work. He's pinning the two center backs. Maybe he's making those runs to the near post that's creating space for somebody back post like a Zelarayan. He's running the channels. His energy is fantastic. And I feel like as a former center back, when you see your striker given that type of energy to close the ball down, it really fuels the energy for everybody else behind him to say, listen, if he's going, we're all going to have to go together and kind of go with the same type of enthusiasm. So yeah, Zardes maybe not holding up the ball as much, maybe not seeing the ball as much, but still I think playing an important role. And also to everybody else's point, I think what I would like to add from a second half perspective, if I'm Schmetzer and I got to talk to my guys, they have to win more second balls. Like they're not winning any second balls. They're losing every single fight in every single way. And that is going to be something they have to remedy. I just don't know if they can, given that Columbus has had so much success with it. So they're going to continue to stick with punching them in the face and seeing how they respond. Right now, Seattle hasn't responded at all.
So Lucas Zelarayan with the opening goal 25 minutes in to give Columbus a 1-0 lead. Shortly after that, Derek Etienne Jr., he makes it 2-0. And guess what? Here, how about this tweet right here, guys? Somebody talking about, I really needed this after sitting through the Manchester Derby earlier today. It's Kevin Egan, one of our colleagues here and the voice of Atlanta United, coming in with that. I think a lot of people probably feel that way, and especially if you're a Columbus Crew fan right now, guys.
Yeah, I'll take that for sure. It's been exciting. Again, my own predictions through the whole week, maybe it got too caught up in the Nagbe and Santos drama, because you're talking about the culmination, and again, looking back at the stats of the season, you have a Columbus team that was really only hot when they had Nagbe. They were at their best, and then they lose them, and of course there is potential for there being an outlier in the final. But I didn't expect them to come out this way. And again, to Jimmy's point about Zardes doing a lot of that dirty work, the best thing you can have in a situation when you're defending and you're defending well is the game being predictable. And when you have that striker that makes the game predictable, you know where Zelarayan has to do, because you make the game easy for him because you want to save his legs. But the game goes into one place, and now everyone from behind him, that block of 8, can now look forward and say, hey, we know where the game is going. We know what's going to happen. Now we can poach on these things and try to counter, which is, it takes an entire team to do that, not just your defenders.
Here's another one coming in off of Twitter. Wow, can't believe the effort from Columbus in this one. Hashtag MLS Cup. I think that's probably the majority of a lot of people. Of course, if you're a Crew SC fan, you're thinking, no, we knew our team had the ability to do something like this, evident by the way that they've played for most of the 2020 season. By the way, they only have one loss in 13 outings at home inside Maffrey Stadium. So this isn't anything new, but yeah, I think a lot of people outside of Columbus guys are probably surprised that not only is Columbus out in front 2-0, but also the fact that Seattle hasn't shown a ton to us here in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'll take it if nobody else wants to.
I was going to say, don't all jump in at once.
No, I was going to jump in. No, I think it does a testament to Columbus. You know, maybe they do deserve some more love and attention from let's say the bigger media outlets out on the coast, that they do have something special going on. They have the MLS Newcomer of the Year, who's a winner, as we've talked about, in the number 10, Zella Rayon. And really what I like about them is this belief in themselves. You can see it in their confidence. They're walking out there. It looked from minute one. I mean, you can see it right from the get-go. Jonathan Mensah got the ball right off the kickoff. He put it right behind, went to the goalkeeper, Stefan Fry, but they put a long ball in. Everybody stepped up, and they were going to make Seattle beat them. And right now, Seattle has been pretty listless. This isn't the Seattle team that I think we all expected to show up. I wonder, though, what happens when Columbus finally gets challenged? If Seattle can actually mount that, that's where my big concern is, because with regard to Columbus, they're in complete control in so many different facets. I don't care about possession at this point because it's not meaningful possession. It hasn't been really in their attacking third. I think Jordan Morris got one cross off. Ladero maybe had one cross. Outside of that, I think Eloy Room, the goalkeeper for Columbus, could be smoking a cigarette. Let's be honest. He hasn't really had much to do today. So I'm kind of curious to see what changes they make. Tactically, I think at some point you're going to have to sacrifice somebody in the midfield to go, maybe put Will Bruin up top to at least partner with Rui Diaz to put some pressure on the back line of Columbus, who have been pretty stout throughout. But I don't think they're going to score on a cross here. I think it's going to have to be some type of combination. The problem is they can't even get in those spots to get those combinations going.
Let's talk about possible changes, and I'll start with you, Cobi, first for the Seattle Sounders. Obviously, Will Bruin will be one of the first guys, but the other guy is Gustav Svensson, and he was part of that comeback against Minnesota. Those two kind of tag team to be the super subs to help get Seattle into this final when they got past Minnesota United. 3-2 was the final in the Western Conference final. If you're Schmetzer, how quick do you bring those guys in? Do you bring them in immediately to begin the second half, or do you maybe give it 15 minutes and see how this group reacts coming out in the second half?
I think you bring one in at half. I don't think you have time to wait. This is it. All the marbles are on the table now, so you can't wait for 15 minutes if things continue south. So I think you need a spark now because they have been listless. Columbus has made Seattle a poorer team on the night. I think one thing that we're forgetting as we talk about all this, and I'm going to go off a little bit here, is this is a Caleb Porter team. And this is exactly how his teams always play. It's almost a little bit of that old school style. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to fight. We're going to battle. And that's what they've been doing. As Heath has kind of said, they won all those balls in the midfield that have allowed them to shorten the field and attack quickly as Seattle has pushed up their outside players. And then what does Columbus do? They just attack those outside spaces, and they've created chance after chance. So for me, Smetzer's going to have to think, okay, how do I counter all of this? And I think you have to bring Bruin in right away because you need some type of pressure on that back line. You need to help Rui Diaz get a little bit more support, take some of the pressure off of him to allow him to get into the game. You have to have more options going forward because they don't have it right now. Seattle's struggling.
Heath, since you and I have been a little bit late to the stream so far here through the first half, but you look fantastic. Hair looks good. Let me say this. I did just see a replay of the first goal, the Zella Ryan hit on the back post. And I think that Stefan Fry probably could have handled that a little bit better for me. I know you guys were asking about it earlier, so I think probably could have handled it a little bit better. But let's just quickly, before we get to some top 10 goals and we say goodbye to Jimmy. Jimmy's going to stick with us for a couple more minutes. Heath, if you're Columbus, you talked about this being a Caleb Porter team right here. So what do they do in the second half? They got to keep the same game plan because they can't all of a sudden just kind of fold up shop and see if they're going to be able to deflect away everything that Seattle brings to them in the second half, right?
Yeah, their energy in transition has been so good that they get numbers behind the ball, and that's going to frustrate Morris and Lodero and Rui Diaz, right? We've seen Morris get into the corners. We've seen guys get high and wide, but what do you do next? You know, you're not going to just cross it into the box. That's not their style of play. They need combination play, and so far, they've been able to take these three players, let's call them the big three, all right? I know they've been termed that lately, and separate them all over the field. There's no combination play between the three of them. They're not connected. They're not playing off each other's shoulders. They're not able to do 1-2s and really get into a rhythm. They are completely spread out. And if you can keep them spread out and allow Morris to go to the corner flag to whip a ball in all day long, you take that. So you don't have to change much. I think you do start the second half with a little bit of a press and then settle in. I don't think that's sustainable for the 90 minutes, but you press up and make them uncomfortable and get them to really, really see how they're going to respond to that press again in the second half, and then slowly start to sit in your blocks deeper. And I think that's going to be a really hard team to beat.
JC, you agree?
Yeah, for me, I would consider taking out Joe Paulo right away at halftime, bringing in Will Bruin. That's the sub that they made last game against Minnesota that made a big difference. Maybe that's too soon. They waited till, the last 20 minutes to make that move. But I like what Cobi's going with it. You have to, whoever scores that next goal is so important. If Columbus gets it, it's done. It's over. So it's really important for Seattle to do that. Bring in Christian Roldan, the other Roldan, and let him sit and just play with one. Instead of having that double pivot in front of the back four, just have one. And then allow Rui Diaz to have somebody else. Maybe he'll run the channels a little bit more. And that way Rui Diaz can sit in and drop it almost into like a cam spot, the center attacking mid, and try to combine a little bit more and let Will Bruin do the dirty work. Just something to consider. And then when I looked at the stats for the last game for Columbus, they only made one sub against the New England Revolution. And that was Boateng came in for Luis Diaz in the 80th minute. So given how they're playing right now, I don't think Caleb Porter is going to be making too many subs throughout unless somebody gets injured.
All right, we've seen a pair of goals for the hosts, Columbus Crew SC, for a 2-0 lead here at halftime. But, of course, we have seen a ton of quality goals throughout the course of 2020, whether it was down there in the MLS's back tournament, down in Orlando, or back into the second phase. We have seen some great goals scored by some fantastic players this season in Major League Soccer. We compiled our own list. It's the 10 best goals in no particular order in Major League Soccer here in 2020. You guys take a look. Tell me what you think. At number 10. I know, Heath, I know you had a little bit of a bias here on a couple of these. You weren't exactly sure.
This is a banger, right? You hit that well over the back shoulder. That's a Tim Cahill for Australia. And I think in the World Cup, he hit something like that with his left foot. I think it hit his shin, though. But this is a fantastic finish. And I'm actually a little bit upset that was at number 9. At 10, sorry.
Yeah, right?
I'm going to speak on this one, by the way. The goalkeeper only – I'm sorry, Rogo. Don't be offended. The goalkeeper only has to protect this side. That's it. Just sit on that side. That's the side you have a wall to do the other side. You gave it up. Higuain, great hit, bud.
I think that one gets the credit just because it's Higuain. Come on, goalkeeper should have had that.
Let's not all pile up on the goalkeeper here, okay, guys?
I'm watching all these goals up close on my Fox Soccer app, so it's good. Yeah, that's
Once again, I think I might be a couple of seconds behind you here in my lag. I'm still in 3.5G, so
you're gonna love 4G.
It's a wave of the future, the interweb.
I like that goal by Bohan, but I think Eric Hurtado's is miles better than that. My humble opinion. I mean, first time volley from like a big ball across. Bohan's a tremendous player and obviously really talented, but I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on that last one.
Yeah, it came from distance though, Jimmy. It was long distance out there. You want to talk about goalkeeping, maybe trying to make I always feel like when you get beat from long distance, you should at least be able to have some footwork to help you out and get there to make a save.
That's fair. Listen, BWP in this one with the 2, he's got one sort of overhead, the other one an actual overhead. Unbelievable for me. I do want to point out though that whoever cut this at Major League Soccer has the thing in for New York Red Bulls because also goalie, 3 bangers against him. He's in 3 of the top 10. That sucks. And then BWP obviously a Red Bull legend getting 2 goals for LAFC, both overheads. Beautiful.
That might have been one of the biggest pickups for any team this season as far as a guy being recycled to come to a new team. I thought he found the fountain of youth. He was good for LAFC.
I think it's wonderful that they put that up there, but how do you get 2 goals in for 1 spot? You know, I mean,
Hey, listen, Cobi, as a defender, I can tell you that the best 11 has never included 4 defenders, okay? There's never been fullbacks included. You know, we've been fighting for our life. You don't know what it's like to have normal formations be removed so we can have more players like you that score goals put into best 11s and best goals and things like that. So, you know, when you're in control, you make the rules as you go.
Hey, Heath, they did give Harris Medunian a little bit of love. You saw Red Bulls did get a little bit of love with the goal there.
Yeah, but I think that was off. Was that off a corner kick against the Red Bulls though? That was Cincinnati, right? That was another. That was like a head off a corner. If I remember correctly.
Anytime I see Olympico scored, I'm like, where's the goalkeeper doing? Nobody should score straight from a corner. I can't accept it. Rogo, you can tell me whatever you want. I cannot.
You're right.
Accept it.
To be fair, when Thierry Henry did it, he put his arm on the corner flag and just chilled. And that, I think, you do that as a celebration, that's okay. But okay. there was this the number 3, by the way. I don't know how it got to number 3. It was just a drive inside and hit to the back post. I can't remember what his name was that scored that, but
Cade Counts, teenager.
Yeah, that's why you don't get to listen. Are you a pro or are you not a pro? Which is it? If you're a pro, then you got to score the bangers. You know, if you don't score the bangers, you don't get it for like what a great goal for his age. No, I'm not buying that. Kobe, what do you think? If Kobe came out right now and hit a banger, I'd do it. But if at his age he hit a goal and put it just in the corner, I'd say, sorry, Kobe, you can't make the top 10. You know, it's not going to be a top 10.
You're just hating, man.
I'm not giving extra credit for age on the goal. You can't take that into consideration.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, between Kobe and I, we've scored like, what is it, Kobe? We've scored like 40-plus goals in MLS.
Were those own goals for you?
I was just trying to be involved with the cool kids here for just a minute.
No. Where are we at right now? I just want to make sure that I'm at the same page with you guys with all your lag. Which goal are we on?
Pablo Piatti, number 1 is where we're at, right? Is that the last one? We made it through it?
Oh, I think we're gone. Yeah, we're through all of them.
I mean, still for me, the one that stands out of all those. Sorry, Nagby's. Nagby, that one's still the best. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think he meant to do that with the touch right off the bat. He was thinking goal. I mean, that's the best one.
He hit another one like that a few years back where he took it off the volley and
he was in Portland, right?
Yeah, and then hit it on the volley.
Against Seattle, I think, even. Against Seattle, even. Guys, we're close to the second half getting going here, and that means Jimmy Conrad, the people have demanded it. Apparently the small gathering outside your house, they've been throwing rocks. They're like, get him off the stream. We need him out here, the mayor of Northern California. But hey, appreciate you stopping by and being part of the fun, part of the 2020 MLS Cup Watch Party here. And the final word from you, and also let me know, does Seattle even get in this game here in the second half?
I'm going to say no. I was so impressed with the Columbus crew. Yeah, I mean, they've completely changed my mind in 45 minutes. I just don't know what the Sounders can do. I don't really have too many answers outside of them throwing Will Bruin on and to see if that will maybe change some things. I just think the crew are ready to go. I think their energy is great, and I just don't know what's going on with the Sounders at the moment. So I just want to give a shout out to the crew. I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we saw with the Sounders, they came back from 2 goals down last week, so they have it in them to do it. It just depends on who scores that next goal and what kind of confidence that brings for either squad. But no, it's been a thrill to be with you guys. I wish I could spend more time with Kobe and Mark and Heath, and maybe we can make that happen again in the future. Fox Soccer, just throwing that out there. So appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, that's great. Hey, Rogo, I look at Jimmy going backwards, trying to get himself a 21-22 Columbus Crew jersey, you know, trying to get back on that mailing list. All right. I like that, you know.
Okay, all right.
Rewind the tape. You'll see what he said at the very beginning.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's
good to see you, Jimmy. Good to see you. Good stuff. So that leaves just the 3 amigos here then, huh?
3 of us and an MLS Cup trophy in form.
Yes.
Wow. It's a nice look.
And now there's only one of us that ever actually really held that thing and earned it, Cobi Jones.
Well, you know, it's a lot of hard work over the years. I've been there quite a bit.
I will tell you though, Rogo, I'm just going to put this out there before the second half starts. Kobe's never, ever beat me in pickup here in LA. I've got, you know,
the lies continue.
Is that the futsal game down at Venice Beach, or what are we talking here?
Do you think either of us can get on cement and play with like our bones grinding up against bone on bone? Like, no, man. We need at least a new generation turf. All right, and if not, preferably grass.
Hey, I'm gonna let you know, guys. I actually got some touches in this morning. It was with some social distancing, just getting some touches on the ball. We used to have this as we're back underway here in the second half. We used to do this Christmas Cup, organized by Lincoln Park bassist Dave Farrell, and so this year we decided we would just kind of separate and do some circle soccer type stuff to get some touches in. So I'm sore too, but I'm still doing it.
Hey, Rogo, what is circle soccer? It's a new term for me.
You're in a circle. You kind of just pass back and forth. To turn away from pressure.
Oh, you guys gave it a name. I like that.
Yeah.
Good
But I'll be
stuff.
sore tomorrow. I'll be sore tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, we're into the second half. Seattle and Columbus with the Crew leading 2-0. Remember, go to Twitter.com/Fox Soccer if you want to bring us some comments throughout the second half here. Heath and Cobi will do their best to answer, and I'll try and fill in the gaps in between. I thought it was interesting. Was it Heath? Was it you or Jimmy that brought up that last point about Columbus, how they really only made one change their last time out with Emma Boateng coming in late? Pretty much Caleb Porter can stick with what he's got, right? I mean, he knows with no Nagbe, with no Pedro Santos. I mean, he's got to stick with what he's got right now.
Yeah, I think, Jimmy is the one that said that, I believe, but I'll take the credit for it because he's not here to stand up for himself. But, there's just no reason to change anything, right? I think it's a good, you just want to start the second half strong and really set the foot like they did in the first half. So push those lines up, high press, really create difficulties for Seattle. And not let Seattle haven't been able to settle in 45 minutes. I don't remember the last time that I watched the Seattle team take this long to settle in and play their style of play, or even find combinations, even be in the game, actively in the game. I don't remember the last time it was like this. So it's important for Columbus to keep disrupting that and be willing to play ugly if that's what it takes to keep Seattle out of this.
Yeah. How about Room coming back in to get in goal for Columbus in this one, and he has even made one. I don't think he's even made one official save in the match so far. He literally the few times he's had to just take in a cross or use his feet to help out with the guys across the back. He has had an easy night.
That's a good place to be in. I don't know, Cobi, I know we're on a little bit of a delay right now, but it also looks like Gustav Svensson is in now for Seattle. So obviously scoring the big goal.
You see that?
Yeah, I did see
Brad Smith.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at here. Smith, he's getting a little flustered here, and I think that's just a sign of the whole Seattle side right now. They don't know how to deal with what Columbus has thrown at them, and you can see the frustration being taken out, off of plays like that. There's no need to get a silly yellow card like that as you enter this match. We're entering the second half.
Well, maybe it goes back to talking about getting punched in the mouth. I wonder if Schmetzer said, wake up at halftime, said something along the lines to Seattle of wake up. They're taking it to us. We need to amp up. And we didn't really see a ton of fit. We saw that one tackle on Zelarayan after he scored. That was maybe the one moment when Jair Marofo had to come in, show a card, and kind of separate players for a moment. We didn't see a ton of that, though, in the first half, where guys were getting at each other and really making a physical nature out of this one.
Yeah, there hasn't really been that type of scrappy moments, right? A lot of this game, again, has been in possession for Seattle because Columbus was able to get a couple easy, I don't want to say easy out of disrespect, but a couple big goals, and that changes things, right? And I think, obviously, as we start to go into the second half, you're going to see frustration starting to set in. Smith, obviously, another sub that's come on at halftime. I haven't had a chance to look at Twitter or get any updates on who's on now, but it looks like both Gustav Svensson and Smith have come into the game for the second half.
Yeah, those have been the changes. But what stands out for me, even though that Seattle is looking to push the game. They're pressuring a bit more. They're higher up the field now than we saw in the first half. Still, the quality of the balls, the quality of the pass or the shot is still hasn't been there yet. Close one coming, guys, just to let you know.
Oh, I tell you, man.
That's what we call a tease in the business, folks.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be coming something for Seattle here. With on my feed, I got the Sounders setting up with Nico Lodero and a corner chance here. Actually, remember, in the first 15 minutes, it was Columbus that had all the corner opportunities. Oh.
There it is. The roll-down header, right?
Right. I would say both. Wouldn't you say both those midfielders, though, have been pretty quiet tonight? Not just Lodero, but Roldan. I mean, when Seattle's has their engine revving and they're at their best, those guys are getting the ball and pivoting at the midfield and starting to push things forward for guys like Morris and Ruidiaz to get in really dangerous spots, no?
Well, the whole idea behind having a player like a João Paulo is that a Christian Roldan can now sort of be that 8 that plays a little bit higher connecting those lines. He hasn't been able to stay connected at all. And I know now you have Svensson in, who's pretty much the same type of player like a João Paulo, more of a 6 type of player, but with a little more qualities getting into the box in terms of set pieces and things like that. That's been an issue, is that Roldan has not been able to get into good positions that, again, connect those lines, whether he's playing off the shoulder of their 10 and 8. So I think it's going to be important for him to play a little bit higher up the field and stay more connected to that front 3.
Cobi, you've always been a team player. I'm just thinking right here for this second half, maybe you just want to pause your feed on your TV just for like 30 seconds. So you, me, and Heath were all together in this, a 1 for all and all for one.
I thought I was back up to speed, but clearly I'm not, and even close.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Are you in the 53rd or 54th minute?
I'm at 52:43, so the 53rd minute. I'm about to head into that 54th.
I'm about 20 seconds behind you then. Okay,
yeah.
There we go. I'm 20 seconds behind you.
Hey, upgrade that system at home, buddy.
I'm dialed into a LAN. I'm a minute behind right now, so I'm working through some technical things right now to make sure I can get back up to speed here.
Tell the guys in the back to run the hamster wheel a little faster.
Yeah. Seriously,
look at you, Rogo, getting on them for that.
I got so many connected devices. My kids are probably watching movies right now. They're killing me.
Hey,
yeah, I cut all my kids off. I just told them tough luck.
Whatever it is to keep them calm, right? So they're not coming into the home studio and just putting everything in complete disruption.
Oh, sorry. Did you guys say something? I guess tease. I'm just happy for a good game right now. Let's see what happens here.
I like
Seattle is pushing. Seattle is pushing. They've got numbers. What I like now, for everyone that's out there that's listening to us and watching the game, you can see that Seattle's pushing. It looks like when they're going forward now, 3 in the back. And off of every cross, they have like 4 to 5 players just hovering around the box. At least there's an understanding that, hey, this is the final. We've got to push a bit more and take chances going forward, because that's what it's all about. They got to find a way to get back in the game.
Cobi, give me a time check on yours real quick.
54-15.
I'm closer. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. I'm creeping back. You're not going to spoil my MLS Cup. I'm in this.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you would have to think, Cobi, that Seattle is going to really try and put Columbus under heavy pressure. And if they get that one and make it a 2-1 game, all of a sudden it's going to be game on. And then I think that the pressure, doesn't it swing onto the shoulders of Columbus to be able to respond?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they always say the most dangerous score line is 2-0, right? And there's a lot of proof in the pudding over the years. But I mean, it's really about how you're going to come out and play. And even though we talk about Al Smith seems a little bit frustrated, at least he's giving that spark, that little bit of energy, that little bit of fight. As you talked about, now they're battling for those second balls. They're battling in the midfield. They're starting to knock over some of the Columbus players and say, hey, we're actually here to play. And when you have top players like Lodero and Ruidiaz and Morris that are more your skill players, you need those grinders. You need those players that are going to battle. And that's exactly what maybe that change is for Smetzer.
I agree with that. And the thing I would add is that a Seattle team back 2-1 is a team that I think it now becomes a favorite to me. And it sounds silly, but at 2-1, the way Columbus are playing, yeah, they're pressing high, but they haven't really had to face anything. And now their whole system or their whole game is going to change if Seattle were to get one back. That sitting back for 30 minutes against a lackluster first half Seattle team was pretty comfortable. But against a team that's dynamic, where now you're starting to see diagonal runs, the energy is higher, the movement is better from Seattle. That is a very long, however many minutes, whether it's 5 or 10 or 15, to be able to withstand a second goal. So if Seattle can get one in the next little bit, I really still do like their chances.
Yeah, and they're going for it with Gustav Svensson in there. He's holding in the back. It looks to me that it is a 3 in the back now for Seattle, where they're really pushing to try to get players forward. From the few times that I'm able to glance up and see here, you see that Svensson comes up with a big tackle here, and it will make for an exciting second half. Let's put it that way.
He's been really efficient, Svensson. Remember, he had the game winner against Minnesota United, what was that, 6 days ago in that Western Conference final. So can he produce maybe some more magic? You're seeing shots of Stefan Fry, but all of a sudden the game has moved into a different section of the field, right? Where most of this in the first half, first 45, 50 minutes was in the middle part of the field, if not in the defensive half of the Seattle Sounders. Now all of a sudden you're seeing few and far between in those flurries and sequences with Columbus getting back to those same spots. Now it's one-way traffic somewhat back the other way.
Yeah, there's a lot of possession by Seattle now getting forward. You're seeing Smith get on the end of a lot of the balls, a lot of the runs going forward. But still, as I said early on in the second half, and what we've seen throughout the match for Seattle, the quality of the pass isn't there. The quality of the cross isn't there. If you're going to get wide, you've got to be able to get the decent cross, and especially when you're committing numbers forward. And we've seen it getting cut out. If you look at all the crosses that are coming in from Seattle, the majority are getting cut out at the near post.
Yeah, and the last thing I would say on that is for Columbus, their game plan has to be with Zelarayan up top and Zardes is to just frustrate them and wear Seattle down just long enough to where they send both of their kind of wing backs high one too many times, and that Gustav Svensson overcommits one too many times. And now you got yourself in a counterattack situation where you can bury the game, right? You're seeing Seattle with a lot more energy. We talked about it, and Jimmy mentioned it before, having possession with intent is far different than just having possession, because now they are advancing up those lines and trying to attack. And this is, a good start for Seattle. But again, I do think there are some capabilities that Columbus have to slow the game down, draw fouls, and really wait for their moment where they're going to be in a 1v1 or a 2v2 situation. And then can they finish the game at that point?
I think Jimmy, when he made the point talking about, the crosses, and you guys were talking about where those crosses are getting cut out, isn't that the perfect scenario to introduce a guy like Will Bruin, right? So you have maybe all of a sudden Rui Diaz, another guy to run off of. Oh, here we go.
Having a good old time.
Close one.
Now,
close.
And what's going to be the best, Heath, is if there is a goal and Cobi can actually maintain, just stay. If he can stay stone faced, and we don't know anything, right?
I have some cash in my pocket for the producers and directors if they turn Cobi's camera off and mute him if there is a moment that I can't see. Big chance. Wow, yeah, I'm way behind.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is what you wanted.
Uh-oh.
This is all you, Heath. You'll see this in about 5 minutes, but Rogo will see it in like 2.
Text me what happened.
Yeah.
A couple more changes is where I'm at for Seattle right now, with Leerdam coming into the game, and it looks like who we just asked for, Will Bruin, also stepping up. And it's that change to bring João Paulo out and Will Bruin in.
There you go, Heath. That's what you wanted, right? Paulo out, Bruin in.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. You know, and even if they're not playing into a position where they want to get the ball wide and whip it in, Will Bruin's going to occupy those center backs in a way where it's going to be physical. They're going to have to pay attention to them, and that's going to allow Lodero and Reed Diaz to start to slip into different spaces and really find themselves in a more one-on-one situation and start to have some combination play. You know, with Will Bruin sitting into that high 9 spot, you know, you can't just drift off and try to come into the midfield to try to defend you know, any of the other players. This could make Schmetzer the genius. Let's see.
I won't say anything.
Cobe, you can't just say I won't say anything.
Yeah, right. You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
Nah. I'm just giving you. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it's like
Well, hey, let's go ahead and bring up the mood a little bit. One of our colleagues, she had a great playing career of her own, and now she has turned into one of the best commentators we have around Major League Soccer, mostly on the sidelines there for the San Jose Earthquakes. None other than Danielle Slayton going to join the party here. There she is. Can you?
What up?
Can you hear us?
What up?
Audio okay?
I think so. I've been having a few technical difficulties, so I haven't been able to watch the beginning of the second half. It hasn't been as tuned in, but I've been seeing a lot of subs by Seattle, and I think they're good, positive
Well, let's get your
moves
thoughts on the
by
first
Schmetzer.
half first, since you'll be with us for a little bit of the second half. Were you as surprised, Danielle, as the rest of us, that Columbus was the team that really came out and took it to the Sounders?
For sure. I mean, I was thinking, especially with the loss of Darlington Nagbe, like, what the heck is Columbus going to do, right? But how sick is Lucas Zelarayan? I mean, his movement, his decision-making, super impressive. And then to me, what stood out most, because I'm a defender, so, you know, I got to give love to the way that teams defend. I was just really impressed by the forward and midfield defending of Columbus. I thought they won the ball high up the field, which meant they only had 20, 30, 40 yards to go to try to get some opportunities.
We had a little bit of a discrepancy here between Jimmy Conrad was on with us and Cobi and Heath and myself, talking about the first goal and whether or not you thought maybe Stefan Fry should have been able to do a little bit more. Yes, it was a good connection on the back post for Zelarayan, but I don't know that he hit it 110% right at Fry with that chance.
I agree. I mean, I think 9 times out of 10, Stefan Fry makes that save, no doubt. But, you know, I mean, I just think that there was some real questions at right back. I think Alex Roldan got twisted up a couple of times on both goals, quite frankly. And just the movement and the spacing. And you just got to get it on target sometimes, right? Like Cobi could tell you this. Of course, you want to, you know, like slam it home and make these beautiful goals. But sometimes you just got to get it on target. And that's exactly what Zelarayan did there. And, hey, it's in the back of the net.
Well, as we can see, Cobi and Heath, as well as you, Danielle, all of a sudden, Seattle is making some adjustments, though, here. The question is going to be, can they all of a sudden put the defense of Columbus off balance a little bit, make it uncomfortable for them, and then eventually execute and finish a chance to cut this lead in half? Uh-oh, Cobi.
So I have a question. Has Raul Rui Diaz or Nico Lodero touched the ball much in the second half? Because I felt like in the first half, like I didn't hear either of their names really Morris at all.
Yeah, when we look at Seattle,
where are those guys? Those are supposed to be.
They're supposed to be the powerhouse threesome, right? And they've been invisible, especially Rui Diaz. He hasn't touched the ball, and I think he's out and out one of the best strikers, but he hasn't found a way to get himself in this match. And Lodero barely touched the ball. He's touching a little bit more in the second half. I think the service hasn't been there. They never had possession in Columbus's half where they were able to build up and find Rui Diaz. He's not the striker where you knock it into space or you knock it up high. So if you can't hold it, you're not going to have that opportunity to get him involved in the match. And that's exactly what I think Caleb Porter knows. And Caleb Porter has played out defensively for his team to make sure that he was able to kind of cut him out of the match.
Is that on Lodero and Roldan for not doing enough to win balls in the middle part of the park to put Rui Diaz in good spots?
You know, I would say that, yeah, that the how many times have you seen the ball go into the channels today for Seattle? You know, the game, you know that the game has to be behind and quickly and behind Columbus because of the way that they're defending as a unit, right? They're making the game predictable, but there's no balls into the channel to stretch them out to make them go, okay, maybe we should start to sit back a little bit. So everything's underneath. And if everything's underneath and you have a front line like a Zardes and Zelarayan that are starting the first line of that press, it makes it really hard to break through. And we haven't seen them sort of change their ways and say, okay, look, we're going to have to stretch them a little bit if we want to open them up. They just keep on trying to go to the same place and they keep coughing up these turnovers that lead to these counterattacks and make it really hard to settle into this game.
Here in the 66th minute, first time that for me, I have seen that ball over the top where Jordan Morris was actually running into space. He couldn't corral it and keep it in play. But I think are you talking about in the channels like that, Heath? That's one of the few times I've seen Jordan Morris running forward towards base where we know his speed and his pace can make a difference in a game.
Exactly. Stretch him a little bit. I know obviously it's 2-0. They're going to sit deeper. There's not going to be a ton of space behind, but yeah.
Danielle, we've been dealing with this for over an hour. Where Cobi Jones's speed is slightly ahead of ours. So, welcome to the party, Danielle.
Poor defending by Seattle. I'm sorry, it's just poor defending. Simple 1-2s, and Columbus is able to just pick them apart. I know that they're pressing and trying to get more numbers forward as time's starting to run out, but you got to defend. And they're giving up some chances that I just don't understand.
That was terrible.
It's not good. It's not good right now.
Danielle, you've played into.
Well, and I would make the argument too to kind of add on what he was talking about. Seattle's typically so great out on the flanks and on the wings. And so when they play well, that then creates more space and opportunity for the likes of Nico Lodeiro. And it opens up the space centrally because you have to be mindful of them clearly continuing to attack on the flanks, get those outside backs forward. And I have not been impressed with Seattle flank play. And that's usually one of the hallmarks of the way that they want to attack and the way they want to play.
Well, they found themselves in this exact same situation 6 days ago against Minnesota United, where they were trailing 2-0 going into the late stages of the game. I'm just wondering, can you find the magic and pull the rabbit out of the hat twice in the same span of time, and especially in a cup final here in Columbus tonight? I mean, I think it's the more the clock rolls on, right? The more the pressure shifts.
And Rogo, while Cobi heckles me for being behind on the internet, as I wait to see what happened here, Jordan Morris is the kind of player, and I say this wholeheartedly, that as Danielle was saying, that when he gets the ball on the wing, you generally think if he's one-on-one, he's going to beat that guy. And there's a good chance that it could lead to a goal. He's got that type of quality. You see that at the highest levels, that you have to pay attention to him because he can create something out of nothing. And he has the ability to beat you on the dribble, on the pass. He can finish, he can cross. He has all those skill sets. And they haven't gotten him into that position yet today where he can actually start to, again, attract that attention. I'd say him and Carlos Vela are the two main ones that have that ability that as soon as they have the ball, everybody has to overcommit and overshift. And they haven't had to do that yet today because he hasn't gotten the ball in good positions and he hasn't created anything when he does get the ball.
And I would add on to that. It's part Jordan Morris's fault. It's part Smetch's fault. You've got to find a way to get him involved. He's been sitting on that left side for the majority of the game where he hasn't been effective. So why not move him around a bit? Even if it's just for short stints. Put him inside for 2 minutes. Put him on the right for a little bit just to change things up to see if he can find a better way. But they've been consistently, okay, let's see if we can have him on the left. Can we get him into the match? Can we do it over and over and over again? And it hasn't worked out so far.
Guys, from a player's perspective, as we go back to the social and some Twitter comments coming in from our commentating colleagues from around Major League Soccer. This one from the voice of the Houston Dynamo, Glenn Davis, saying, for every guy taken off tonight in a final, it is a huge disappointment personally. And it actually kind of backs into the one we just saw from my partner at LAFC, Max Bretos, talking about 4 changes before hitting the hour mark. Max said, to me, that says the wrong 11 was out there. But isn't it more about, I think Schmetzer's just trying to find something here because his guys don't necessarily have it, right?
This team's had the ability all season long, outside of MLS's back, to get themselves into games in the first half, or at least settle in, right? This was a completely different Seattle team in the first half, and you have to make changes. And again, he went with 4. I think that's making a big statement in terms of the spark that you need. But we saw from the very start, Smith coming with some energy. Gustav Svensson is all energy. He's not going to be that different than a João Paulo in terms of his capabilities or his abilities. I played with him when I was in Gothenburg, and he's going to play pretty simple, but he's a high energy. He's got an engine. He's going to try to create something both defensively to make big plays, because you're going to need him to when you're overexposed, and also moving forward.
Oh,
Cobe, what minute are you in? Talk to me.
70-54 right now.
Okay, I'm not too far off.
A great chance for Seattle. That's all I got to say. And you'll understand why. But they're putting the numbers forward. They're taking the chances. And they're starting to create something, because now they're starting to, it's that desperation time. Put the ball in the box, do whatever you can.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is. Somebody saw it.
It did just go wide. Whoa. But but still, Cobi, these are more half chances, though, aren't they? I mean, that last one that went wide of the post was probably the best one maybe we've seen in terms of challenging room. But I think these aren't the chances that Columbus was having. Columbus was having grade A chances in the first half, especially that first 30 minutes.
No, I completely agree. But a chance like that with Ladero, I believe, facing goal, right outside the 18, that's a quality chance, even if it is through traffic. And it kind of, as I'm looking at the replay here, he's right outside the 18, balls laid back. He's trying to squeak it through. That's a fantastic chance where he can pick the left or the right to get through. But once again, the final pass or shot, not quality. I could probably count, it would take both hands to count how many crosses from Seattle are getting cut out by the first player, where they're just not getting enough height on it. And then we talk about the shots not doing well either.
We lost the great Danielle Slayton for a moment, but she's back with us now as we're here into the final 20 minutes or so of this second half. Let's see if we can bring her back in for just a moment. As you see some other tweets coming in on the screen here as part of our social feed. We'll get Danielle back into the fold for a moment. For now, you have the crew of Cobi Jones, who's 25 seconds ahead of both Heath Pearce and myself here on the 2020 MLS Cup Watch Party. But it's kind of good, Heath, because we know something's coming, right?
Yeah, it's a final Rogo. That's gonna be a no for me, dog, on that one.
Double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, Cobe's killing me.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing, Cobi. It is. We're not seeing it at the same time.
Sorry, guys. Look. Regardless of who you're cheering for, if you are a soccer football fan, you got to like the way this second half is looking, because it is exciting. And the way that Seattle is coming out, they're going for it. They're pushing. There's no more just sit back and, let's see. It's like everyone is taking chances.
Can Columbus sustain this type of pressure, though, for another 20 minutes probably when you add on stoppage time?
I think look. With a team like Columbus, they've been fantastic defensively. So it's about being solid on the set pieces. That's where it can be dangerous. I tend to think, you never know. Like it's a final if they're going to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, Seattle, but they are going to create more chances. That's the key. They will create more chances, more of those opportunities that may come up with a huge save by Columbus just out wide, but you've got to see if you can weather the storm. It's all up in the air right now.
A little defensive help coming in as the Ghanaian Mensah comes into the game here for Columbus, trying to make sure that they lock onto this 2-0 lead. I mean, as an MLS fan, as a soccer fan, I would love to see Seattle get one here and really, make it those final 10 minutes of just intense pressure.
I'd love to see it so I can get my over.
If you weren't with us when we opened things up, probably about an hour plus ago, we discussed with Jimmy Conrad taking the over or taking the under. And so Cobi Jones and I were on the over 2.5 goals through Fox Bet on the night here, while Heath Pearce and Jimmy Conrad were more along the lines of the 1-0 scoreline. Cob, I think we're fine right now. We're right on pace. There's another goal coming in this game. Whether it's 3-0 or 2-1 remains to be seen, but there is another goal coming in this one. I should check the Fox Bet Live right now, see if there's a possibility of that. Well, not here in California.
Yeah.
I mean, for a team like Seattle that has shown the propensity to be able to score goals in big moments, I just can't imagine they're getting shut out in an MLS Cup final.
Yeah, again, you saw there a few minutes ago where they played direct to Morris, and Jordan Morris was able to lay it off. When you bring in Will Bruin, it brings a different type of dynamic that Jordan Morris starts to have somebody that, again, occupies those central defenders, and you expect them with that type of those types of players attacking to be able to do that. But then again, like Cobi said before, the last pass, whether it's the cross or whether it's the through ball, hasn't been on. And it's really made it difficult for them to get into a rhythm. Smith has been overlapping every time to create that width to allow Jordan Morris to be in the pockets inside, and it's not leading to anything. We're seeing flashes. You're starting to see I would say this is a completely different Seattle team in the second half than the first half, but you want to see these attacks come to a conclusion a little in a little more sharp manner.
Don't we expect Seattle? I know they can attack in a lot of different ways, and you can see that they're going far more direct than they did in the first 50, 55 minutes of this game. Is that how they get back into this game right now, is going direct much more? Or can they stick with their game plan and stick with that short, intricate passing and moving?
Well, I think they've already gone out of their quote-unquote standard way of playing where you are seeing that direct play. But what they're trying to do is kind of what Heath said earlier, is they're trying to win those second balls now and then try to get that little bit of passing going. But they're trying to go over the midfield, put pressure on the back line of Columbus, win the second balls, and basically just eat up ground, eat up coverage of the field to be able to get your players forward. And it's been effective so far.
I mean, every single second that goes off the clock here in the second half, you have to think that Columbus can almost start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that they're getting closer and closer to capturing their second ever MLS Cup.
Yeah, and I think some of that direct play that Cobi was talking about helps to stretch that field. They haven't had a chance. So if they can, again, make Columbus, who've been pressing pretty well and a little bit on the higher side, create some gaps or distance between their team, you're starting to create a 3v3, 4v4, maybe 4v5 in the attack. And Seattle likes those chances if they can do that. But the slower that they play, the more Columbus is able to settle in and make it difficult for them to create any real rhythm.
Cobi, we got anything coming here?
Not well. There was a decent look for Smith, but he does, once again, pass gets cut out at the near post. He's inside the box, and that's where, look, they're creating a lot of chances, but you've got to take advantage of it. You get inside the box where the defender makes a mistake, you've got to get a better ball in there, and you're not going to get a whole lot of those where the defense of Columbus makes a clear-cut mistake.
Lodero on the ensuing corner doesn't find anybody inside the area, and so it's pretty easily cleared by Columbus. I expect there, though, to be, I don't know about you guys, but I expect there to be a lot of pressure, as if there already wasn't some, but a lot of pressure here on Columbus for the final 10 minutes. Because, right, what's the difference if you lose 3 or 4-0 here if you're Seattle, compared to maybe being able to pull one back and just throw it all forward in the final 4 or 5 minutes, even into stoppage time?
Yeah, that's where, when you're in a final, you need a little bit of that sharpness from at least a few of your players. And, each one of them that's had a chance to whip a ball in, haven't been able to find it. Smith comes in at halftime, getting into really good spots, the best spots that they've had all night. And then that final ball is off. Like Cobi said, anything on the ground is not getting through. Anything short is able to be cleared and falling right into potential counterattacks, actually, for Columbus. But, each minute, as you said, Rogo, that goes by. Oh, Cobi. Oh, you're killing me.
Sorry, buddy, but you'll see it
over here waiting
the same way.
Well, it has to be coming from a free kick, as we talked about free kicks.
Set pieces, baby.
Christian Roldan was absolutely annihilated about 25 yards out from the Columbus goal. So that means an opportunity for Ladero to stand over a set piece here as it comes in right here. Ladero driven in. No! Save! Room! The first time he's challenged all night.
I'm so
There you
far
go.
behind.
Your goalkeeper got
Oh,
one.
yes. Going for that Stefan Fry MLS Cup save.
Yeah. Wasn't that the same, Heath? It was almost a mirror image.
Top corner. And again, Room, he hasn't played, right? I think he was one of the COVID cases, but I know that he was out. They weren't scored on for like 210 minutes or something like that going into to the game. And you know, staying engaged and staying involved. He's rising to this type of occasion. It's also quite difficult, right, Rogo, as you know, to without a ton of action to stay engaged in the game, and then add that to not having played significant minutes recently and stepping straight into a final. It's an unbelievable save.
Well, some might disagree, but we talked about footwork when we were talking about goalkeeping earlier. And for me there, it was footwork that got Room up to that corner so that he could actually paw it away with his hand. But maybe is that it? Oh, here we go. Here we go, Heath. I should just count in my head mentally because I'm about 25 seconds behind Cobi. So
the biggest problem is the ball's in the middle of the field for me, so I don't know which way it's going in the next 25 seconds. Oh, there. I know. Diaz turning.
Is it Zardes' turn? Zelarayan. He just settled the MVP vote right there.
Boom. Boom, as we like to say. So
over, Cobi, over.
Oh.
So I may have gotten wrong who's going to win, but I got the over. So does that balance out? Oh, the over pays more, right?
Well, we didn't play the side. We didn't play the side on Fox Bet, folks.
Hey.
We just played the over under.
You know, I will say that when we got asked that Twitter question of why will Columbus win today, or it was a more pointed one of like, why are they going to win? Put it on Zelarayan.
No,
I gave him that. So like, while I said they would lose 1-0, I did say when I was told that they were going to win, how they were going to win. So I'll take that.
And if you think about it, he's been involved in all three of the goals tonight, guys.
Oh yeah. And
Well,
if
you're going to take that one, Heath, I'm going to take the other side. When they asked that, I said it was going to be the defense. And so far, there's a big fat 0 right now for Seattle. So that's showing
if we do a 2-hour broadcast, we're gonna get a few things right. I hope, you know what I mean. Like no one's gonna remember the wrongs. You just gotta remember the rights. But if you go back to Zelarayan's second, when he had the assist on the second goal, he was in that very similar position, and he faked that shot on his right foot, cut it back to his left, and played it wide. That composure to know that there was a better, like, you know, Bob Bradley used to say a thing of like, you know, good idea, but is there a better one? You know, he could have taken the shot there. He cuts it off and lays it off. And then this time, obviously with the clear chance, puts it top corner. Unbelievable performance. And again, when you look at why you bring in a player, obviously a proven winner like Zelarayan is, you bring him in, 8 goals and 9 assists in MLS this season. Incredible. You know, you bring him in for these types of moments to say, hey, we've got a good team, but how over a 90 minutes can we have somebody that can be that difference maker, that even if your team is average, you're still in every game. And now tonight he's been lights out.
Tweets keep coming in now. There's a good one from John. Game over. Crew ice the match. Hashtag MLS Cup. And then we just had one from former Sports Illustrated writer Grant Wall a moment ago, talking about kind of exactly, I think, what we were all thinking here in the second half is you're waiting for Seattle to get back into this match, and they're not, especially after Lucas Zelarayan hits for his second. And like I said, I think he pretty much just solidified he is the MVP of the 2020 MLS Cup.
Cobe, let me ask you this. Do you think this changes the conversation of a dynasty, so to speak, right? When you talk about MLS, you're really looking at DC, LA Galaxy, and Seattle Sounders in terms of that conversation. Do you think this changes that, or does getting to the finals still keep them in that conversation?
No, they'll talk about it. People may have a slight conversation about it, but I don't think they'll be considered a dynasty now, because it's fine and all to get there, but what's the end result? You know, the end result to be a dynasty, you know, how many teams have we seen in different sports get to the final but never win it, and everybody forgets about them? You have to win. They've won 2. They've been to the last, what is it, 4 or 5? You know,
4 and 5 years.
4 and 5 years. But still, a lot of people go, that was great. They won 2 of them, but they lost 2 as well. So that's going to be the big part of it. You have to win. That's why we play the game. At a professional level, you play the game, not for fun, even though we love doing it. You play for it so you can win the championship. So that's going to be a big issue where they will talk about and say, yeah, they had a good run, but they're not a dynasty. They won't be compared to the DC United, or they won't be compared to the Galaxy of old.
Yeah, and when you look, by the way, when you look at the opposite end, right? Rui Diaz was the sort of one of the main keys in this playoffs. 9 goals in 9 playoff games. You would expect him to have found something here, right? This is his time to shine over this playoffs. And so, you talk about Zelarayan and Rui Diaz both having pretty great stats in the playoffs, and one showed up and the other one hasn't. I do want to mention, by the way, when it comes to building teams, Garth Lagerwey's now been in 4 of 5. Bezbashenko's been in 3 of 5 in terms of GMs. I think Bezbashenko's a president now, but was GM previously. But pretty impressive in terms of getting 4 out of the last 5 and 3 out of the last 5 of building teams and getting them to a final.
How about this tweet coming in right now, guys? They should just start building the Zelarayan statue outside the new Crew Stadium now. I would actually take it a step further. It might be a statue of Caleb Porter.
I'll tell you what. Let's put him in the top. Let's put him in the top 25. Let's put him in the top 25 list. Cobe, redo it. we got to take one out of that 25. You're now under oath.
Hey, can I going back to that top 25? If you guys missed it out there, MLS released top 25 all-time players in Major League Soccer. Now that it's been 25 years of the league since going all the way back to 1996. It was one name that I thought you probably could have included in there, and maybe you didn't have enough time in MLS as a whole. Ooh, that one went rising over the bar. And because it's the Crew, did Frankie Haydick deserve to have a nod in there?
As the dude?
As the dude. That would be another one. That would be another one that you could argue that.
I think Shalry Joseph should be in that.
That's a great shout.
I think he was incredible. I think Ozzy Alonso I think 6s have been screwed out of that list for sure. So Shalry Joseph and Ozzy Alonso both have an argument. Again, it was like 4 or 5 categories, right? It was like cups, finals, all-star appearances, best 11s, awards, and community work. So there's a very vague or wide range that you could put into there. But I definitely think that there was a few people that could have made that list that didn't.
Well, when they were talking, I hate it, but I always go back to goalkeepers, right? That's a really tough list to be in. The guy that I always loved growing up was Tony Miola, so I was happy to see him in there. But I think the guy that probably for the longest and most steady part was absolutely Nick Raimondo when you talk about what he does. But another guy that was really winning, and he didn't necessarily have the same tools that those guys had, was a guy like Pat Onstad.
Yeah, there's a number of people that you look at stats-wise. I mean, the big argument, right, was Carlos. Like, you look at, there was 4 of the guys from that DC sort of legacy team that made that list from the early days. Valderrama was one. There was some fuss about, just in terms of the amount of time he was within the league, outside of the fact that he was just Carlos Valderrama in general got him on the list, even though he is hugely impactful. Joseph Martinez is another one, just a couple seasons has gotten him on this 25 list as well, that people were up in arms about. But again, and Giovinco also, when he's in form, he's incredible. His stats speak for themselves. But again, a short time within the league. How much time do you need to be able to be? You have Cobe, who's obviously clearly deserving across a number of categories and doing it over a super long period of time. That you could probably find players that were short times in the league that won a number of awards that were impactful that may not even be close to this list.
Thierry Henry, one of your former teammates, Heath. I thought, I mean, if you're talking about guys and it matters how long or how short they are in the league, right? I mean, I thought he made a huge impact and immediately brought New York to the forefront. I mean, who can forget those years and how good that they were, in particular, some of those matchups with the Galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, he scored an incredible amount of goals and left with only 2 supporter shields during his time. I think it was 2. But then you look at a guy like Bradley Wright Phillips, again, been in the Golden Boot race since 2013, has scored, 4th all time in scoring. There's a sample size there that I think, maybe I'm reading too much into time. But But then again, you look at the other side, like a Steve Ralston, and you say, is there anybody that's matching on that stats? And then you go into that DC team that was way back when. And I don't necessarily disagree with them because it's hard, right? And it's arbitrary. When you start to add community work and all these types of things, even if it's just stats alone, you go, okay, stats over how much time, and then all those things. It makes it really hard to narrow down that list. And there are some sure shots in there, like Cobi Jones, that they're not worth arguing. But there's other ones where you go, well, is there another player that you could potentially slip into this spot and slip one out?
Heath and Cobi Jones, we've been hitting the Twitter feed all night long here on the 2020 MLS Cup Watch Party. But we also had some questions that came in before we came on the air a couple of hours ago, including the one that asked for each of you. And I'll start with you, Cobi Jones. You're our senior analyst here. Who was the player you hated going up against the most? And it doesn't have to be one guy. Maybe you got a couple of names of guys that were just a thorn in your side when you played.
Well, I would say I wouldn't say it was hated going up against the most, but I knew it was going to be a difficult matchup, and because he was so good, and he was on the list as well, and that was Eddie Pope. I thought he was absolutely fantastic when at his time at DC United, where he was kind of like the stalwart in the back, kind of keeping everything, in line back there. That's the one that really, like, you say that, without a doubt, he pops into my head, right away.
Heath, probably on the other side, guys that had the ball and went right at you at times and made life difficult through 90-plus minutes for you as a defender, right?
Yeah, I think one of the guys that I hated playing against, I only played against him a couple of times, was Zach Kawani when he'd get the ball back in his best days. He was really hard to play against, and he would run at you, and he could go both ways. And it was just really hard to stop. And that's just one that just popped in my mind as you were saying that. I was kind of going through the Rolodex of people that have made my life really hard over time. And he was one that stood out as like, man, this is a really difficult person to stop. And there's a number of players like that just frustrate you as a defender, that check back just to lay the ball off simply 3-4 times. And then you're like, I'm not following that guy anymore. And then he turns and runs at you. But he was one that was really, really good and really hard to beat.
I got to say something really quick, going off of, I don't know if you can look at your TV right now. You guys are a little behind me, but I just saw it where they showed Caleb Porter on the screen, and he has this little smirk. Now, he gets a lot of stick about like his attitude and his personality out there. I mean, what do you think this is going to do? This adding this championship at another club, where does this put him? As far as when we're talking about some of the best coaches, within MLS, I mean, it sounds like he's on the way, like he's stepping up there. You talk about the Bruce Arenas, the Smetzers, the Ziggy Smiths, all those. I mean, this has to start putting him in that conversation, right?
Yeah, winning is winning. There's nothing you can do about it. Think about like the turnaround that Columbus have had to have from the save the crew moment to them staying in Columbus to building a new stadium. And now here they are. This is the last game, I believe, or one of the, maybe they play again next season there, but I think it's starting next season. They'll be in their new stadium. Like leaving this place with a trophy is a pretty incredible feat. And to do it without your best two players, a Darlington Nagbe, by the way, who he's known since he coached him in college, a guy that you relied upon, a guy who is going to dictate the play, has been able to get his team up for this game. It's an incredible thing. And again, people will read into his attitude and the things that he like his approach to the game, but you can't deny these types of results. And now he's got himself two, winning one away and now winning one home, that he has to be in the conversation where he may not have been otherwise.
They keep flashing, by the way, up to the box up inside Mapfre Stadium of the Haslam family up there. I mean, what a tremendous night it will have to be for them, and even just a feeling that will linger for the coming weeks, in the sense that they did save the crew, right? They kept the crew from leaving Columbus. It looked like they were all but set to move out of Columbus, Ohio. They stay there, and now the Haslam family has them winning their second ever MLS Cup trophy. And I do want to throw one other thing out to you guys, because as longtime players in this league, and obviously I've had the chance to cover this league for about 15 years now. I think, Cobi, you made the mention of Sigi Schmidt. Somewhere that great coach in Major League Soccer is smiling, watching down on this one, because he had a hand and was a huge architect for both of these clubs, winning the cup with them in 2008 with Columbus, and obviously the first ever coach in Major League Soccer for Seattle.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the groundwork that Ziggy Schmid laid wherever he went, that you could build upon that. And if he didn't win a championship, he could help the team in the future continue to go down that path towards a championship. And like you said, he was part of this Columbus crew. He's part of the Seattle Sounders, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic to see. And this Columbus story, you gotta like it. It's a great story, the underdog story in every single way, on and off the field. And they proved a lot of people wrong. Even without two of their star players, they came up and, let's be honest, dominated this game. We could all admit when we're wrong. Columbus Crew dominated this game and didn't allow Seattle to get in it at any moment.
Heath.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think, Columbus from the start had a game plan and they executed against that perfectly. They gave half chances in the second half from wide positions where they're comfortable, right? Their defense was strong. They're pinched in 2 blocks. Everybody was getting behind the ball, and they executed a game plan in a final. That's hard to do. There's a lot of nerves. You want that game to settle in. You want everybody to play their best game. But a lot of times you see in finals that they're a little lackluster because people are nervous. They're trying to settle in. Columbus took it to Seattle from start to finish, and that comes down to Zelarayan. It comes down to the discipline of the team. It comes down to the ownership group to believe in this. It comes down to Caleb Porter being able to get this team up for this, who's not just went through some COVID cases going into this final with 2 of their key players, but also leading into this. And they went through the trials and tribulations of a season. They were on top of the league for a lot of the year. And now to end it with a trophy is an incredible thing that no one can take away, regardless of the year, regardless of the regular season or how many games they played and against who. They came into the final against the team that was going in as the clear favorite to really cement themselves as a dynasty, and won 3-0. And you can't take that away from them.
Tremendous pictures going on the TV side. Caleb Porter running down the field, pumping his fist, and for good reason. Lucas Zelarayan, 2 goals, 1 in each of the halves, and a thorough performance. I know I said at the very beginning when we were talking about what might be the difference maker in this one, and I asked you guys all with Jimmy Conrad, who was on with us as well. I said, usually they say that defense can win championships, but also being able to have a creative Argentine midfielder like this young man, Lucas Zelarayan, at the other end of the field. The game plan for Caleb Porter just worked to perfection here in the 2020 MLS Cup final.
Yeah, and as Cobi mentioned, and I mentioned, I went with Zelarayan, and Cobi went with the defense, right? A staunch, hard to play against defense, and both of them performed perfectly. If you don't have that back line that's sturdy and settled in, you can't have a Zelarayan being able to cheat up higher on the field, try to pick balls off and create moments, right? You have to be a lot more conservative in those situations. So they played off of each other perfectly. And if you looked at the 2 game plans of like, hey, we got to find the magic from our attacking team because we don't have a Darlington Nagbe. Zelarayan is a proven winner. Can he create some magic for us while looking at your back line that says, hey, listen, no matter what, we take it 0-0 after 90 minutes. And that's our job. And it's hard to make all those things come together, and especially in a final of this magnitude. And they were able to do that perfectly today. Well,
you had Julian Gressel, a guy who knows a thing or two about winning an MLS Cup. He did it with Atlanta a few years ago, talking about the performance for Columbus with his tweet a moment ago. He used the word perfection. You might have to say that with the way that Columbus played tonight, right? It was nearly perfect from the Crew to win their second ever MLS Cup.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The game plan worked perfectly, and exactly what they wanted to do, they were able to do it. They were able to attack those outside spaces as those wide backs of Seattle got forward. They jumped over the ball in midfield all the time. The wide backs of Seattle are caught up the field, and then you just attack from one side to the other. The crosses from Columbus continued in and created opportunities nonstop. And so they put Seattle on their heels. The outside backs didn't know how to do it. They couldn't adjust to it. I think Seattle stuck to that game plan too long, and Columbus and Caleb Porter figured it out. That game plan, they knew what they wanted to do coming into it. They executed it flawlessly, And that's why they ended up 3-0. I mean, it was brilliant. And we talk about Zella Ryan, but let's talk about as well the service, those assists that were coming in. If you think about it, the crosses were brilliant, coming in. The last play on the third goal, I believe it was awful on that right side, just out muscling Smith, being able to dance around a couple of defenders, and really laying the ball off to Zella Ryan at the top of the 18 wide open so he could pick his spot. I mean, it was hard work all over the field by multiple players to make sure that this Columbus team could win, from Zella Ryan and Zardes doing some dirty work up top all the way to that back line and keeping a big goose egg in there, making sure that they were able to shut out probably one of the most prolific attacking teams in MLS.
How about this for timing of a tweet from Nick Raimondo, of course, longtime Real Salt Lake goalkeeper, now retired. He won a cup with Salt Lake. I think he won one also with DC United. Firsthand look at the impact new ownership can have on a club. Congrats, hashtag Columbus Crew SC. And I think that's kind of like direct reflection of what's going on in Salt Lake City, right? I mean, unless you've been under a rock for about a year now, you probably know that there's going to be new ownership out there with regards to both the women's and men's side for the Salt Lake City area. And I think we all want to see a team stay there in Salt Lake City, because that fan base has become tried and true for the Claret and Cobalt, and they have been great in terms of supporting their club in the up years, like 2009 when they beat the Galaxy in penalties to win an MLS Cup, and even in the down years too.
Yeah, and you go back to that 2009 and Salt Lake won out to get into the playoffs, and they were the last team because other teams lost. They needed other results to make it into the playoffs. They were an Eastern Conference team. Yeah, that year. They were able to go on and win MLS Cup, and now you look at the 25, you look at Kyle Beckerman, you look at Nick Raimondo, right? There is something around building these teams and the history you can create at these clubs with ownership, with the players that you bring into it. Now you look at Columbus within 1 year, from Caleb Porter to Bezpashenko to everyone within the club. There's a belief system, and I know there were some periods that old Columbus players, I remember telling me, saying, "Hey, there's this Columbus team, and they want to erase the history. They want to change the name a little bit. They don't want to bring players in. They don't want to treat us well as ambassadors for the club. I can't even get free tickets." And now you have a new ownership group. All of the news have been positive this year, a whole new stadium, a bright look ahead. And you want that same sort of thing looking at Salt Lake. And you want to make sure that it carries a little bit of that, not a little bit, but all of that DNA that helped build the club. You can change the name or whatever, but if you don't have that community built around it and the people that have helped pave the way, you can't get it right. And so far, Columbus have been getting it right this season, ending it with an MLS Cup final trophy. And now, hopefully we'll see something similar in Salt Lake.
Cobi, how about this one right here? I mean, character is built sometimes in what you show in some of the toughest moments. And a tweet from the Seattle Sounders, not more than moments after losing this cup final, hashtag or at Columbus Crew SC, at MLS, great performance, great club. Congratulations on the W. Wow. From the Sounders themselves, you got to appreciate that and really tip your cap to Seattle.
Yeah, I think it's a great bit of humility there from the Sounders, being able to put that out so soon, after losing. And I think it's a testament to the quality of that club, but it's also showing that they understand how good this Columbus team was. And I think this is a fantastic moment, not only for Columbus, because of everything that they've gone through. And as he said, the culture of the club and what they did as far as, making sure that they had representation, from the past, the foundation of what that club was all about helps it become more, every single year moving forward. And I think that's something that every club in MLS can look to, that you look at the foundation of the club, what helped you as owners, you as managers wanting to be a part of that club. It's everything that came before. And that's important to remember. And I think that should go on, to any other ownership that comes in thinking that, hey, maybe there's something there already, that there's something there that we can look at to help build up and make it even better, because it's so important to remember that past.
Cobi, you're probably about 30 seconds ahead of Heath and I, but what else is new? Don Garber with the microphone. You can see Columbus have made their way to the stage. getting ready for the second time in their history as one of the MLS originals to lift the MLS Cup trophy for the second time. They did it back in 2008, actually here in Southern California. Guillermo Schelotto, along with Frankie Haydick and the rest of Duncan Otten, the rest of that great Columbus Crew team, head coached by Siggy Schmidt, raising the trophy. And now they find themselves, 12 years later with an opportunity, but not only to do it, but they do it in their home stadium, in their home city. It's going to be, and I also, Cobi, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. I saw a shot of Caleb Porter hugging with his assistant, Ezra Hendrickson, a former teammate of yours. Easy is feeling great tonight.
Oh, he's got to be feeling absolutely fantastic to win a championship, have another championship under his belt. And as you said, as assistant coach there, I think this helps Ezra personally. When you're talking about the future, as new coaching positions open up, you'll see Ezra probably getting the call to do those interviews and possibly, move on in the future. But right now for Ezra, it's about celebrating this moment, in Columbus. And this is, I love saying this because it's so good for the whole league, because we talk about Columbus as being, quote unquote, a small market. Well, it's showing you just because you're considered a small market doesn't mean you have to be a small team. And they have thought outside the box and done it the right way, where they have embraced the community's embraced them. And guess what? Through all of that, the trials and tribulations, they lift the trophy, they lift MLS Cup, and they did it. They did it the right way.
Heath, I'll give you the final word here as the trophy has made its way onto the stage, and your 2020 MLS Cup champion, Columbus Crew SC. Let the celebrations begin, Heath.
Look, my last point is this. Columbus are a traditional club in Major League Soccer. You go back to the Lamar Hunt days, all the way to being the first soccer-specific stadium. And we've got lots of new clubs that have set the bar incredibly high in terms of supporter culture, winning tradition. Seattle Sounders making the playoffs every year of their history. But it makes it easy for you to forget about the history of Columbus Crew and where kind of where they've been, what they've been through and where they're going. And to have them be able to bring this back to life when there's a lot of shiny new toys in this league is an incredible thing. And I'm super excited for them. It was a well-deserved final, a perfect execution of a final, and one that other clubs should look at as an example of how to do it right from start to finish, especially amongst all the controversy and in a year like this.
Tip of the cap to the Columbus Crew as they finish off go ahead, Cobi. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing, and it's simple. Congratulations to Columbus, 2020 MLS Cup champions. It's awesome.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And you know what? Hey, I want to say congratulations to you guys. You made it through 2+ hours with me, and we're still all friends, right? Hey, on behalf of our entire crew, led by Kristen Scott, Jeff Hernandez, Damu Bob, Daniela Mayock, the rest of the crew behind the scenes with Fox Sports and Fox Soccer's digital and social platforms. It's been a ton of fun being all together here to watch this 2020 MLS Cup final here, all part of our watch party coverage. Let's do it again next year. Heath, Cobi, thank you. Thanks to Jimmy Conrad, Karina LeBlanc, Danielle Slayton, and everyone else involved in the production. And again, congratulations to the 2020 MLS Cup champs, none other than the Columbus Crew, as they celebrate winning that MLS Cup trophy for the second time. Have a safe and rest of 2020, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2021.
Take care, Mark. Take care, Heath. Thanks, everybody.